Chapter 3558. After eliminating Bufifen's blind worship of Matthew, Su Yun could basically conclude that this was the difference between a college student and a primary school student. If that was the case, he was quite confident. Chasing life took 20 days. Matthew could probably finish it in 2 to 3 days, right? If that was the case, there was still plenty of time. Then you don't have to worry, let him investigate slowly, Su Yun said. Since it can't be solved in a short time, I'll go to sleep first. If you guys are tired, go and rest. I can do it myself, Bufifen said seriously. We all know you can do it, but I also want to tell you that if you find any clues, you can't act rashly. Yifala also reminded him, I won't let you solve such a dangerous person by yourself. Bufifen smiled. His words made Yifala feel relieved. Of course I know, I'm not such an arrogant person. If I fail at the last step because of me, then I'll become a sinner. It's good that you know. Su Yun, okay, go do your thing. Pay attention to rest. If you can't help much, go to sleep early. Matthew can handle it himself. I can't leave my master to solve this problem alone, Bufifen said. Besides, we have a remote connection now. I can see everything my master does through the computer. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. Su Yun nodded. That was true. Probably many super hackers would rather spend millions to see how Matthew, the internet guru, would solve this problem. Learn well. In this regard, Su Yun really couldn't help much. He might as well go to sleep and recharge his energy. When he was needed, he wouldn't be exhausted. Su Yun, Cho Yun, and Blackhead all went to rest. But Yifala didn't go. Bufifen finally came back. Although it was mainly for this dangerous mission, she was still very happy and excited. As long as Bufifen didn't go to sleep, she would stay with him. No matter what Bufifen said, and no matter what Su Yun said, she would definitely not go. Yifala had done everything that he could do. Yifala was clear that if he couldn't support and help Bufifen in the main matters, he had to do his best in assisting Bufifen. For the rest of the night, Matthew and Bufifen didn't close their eyes, and neither did Yifala. In the first round, Matthew spent 2 hours to crack the 18 firewalls. When he successfully invaded, he found that it was a trap. It was a fake computer address that Tuotong had mirrored. This time, it was Matthew's turn to be dumbfounded. Although it wasn't difficult for him in terms of technique, if he could successfully break through and escape unscathed, he would definitely be able to successfully break through the second and the third. However, there was only one real address, and Tuotong had designed 20 fake ones. It was said that a cunning rabbit had 3 burrows, and Tuotong had created 20 fake ones. What was worse was that there was no way to determine the authenticity of these 20 fake ones, because each of them was designed with 18 firewalls. Whether it was a fake computer or not, one had to break through the last one step to find out. Matthew was such a gentle person, but he couldn't help but curse. He thought that even the American National Defense Network Center wasn't so complicated. It was really disgusting. He could only rely on his luck. It didn't matter if he could be sure that it was the right one. The most confusing thing was that there was no chance of success at all. When would it end? When Matthew solved the second round of 18 firewalls and found that it was still a fake one, he was really on the verge of collapse. At this time, Bufifen took the initiative to ask him to crack the next one. Of course, he would do it under Matthew's guidance. This way, Matthew could point out any mistakes he made in time. For Bufifen, this was not that annoying. Such a good learning opportunity was simply not something that others could come across or ask for. He was lucky to have such an opportunity. Matthew was not stingy with him, and Matthew had always been very concerned about Bufifen's matters. Since Bufifen was interested in this, he naturally wouldn't discourage his disciples' enthusiasm as a master. When Bufifen started to do this, Matthew completely became a teacher, which made it more interesting than doing it himself. Although it was also quite boring, it didn't make Matthew sleepy all the time. Bufifen was definitely much slower than Matthew. Matthew could finish it in 2 hours, but Bufifen probably needed nearly 4 hours even under Matthew's guidance. The seemingly long night quickly passed, and they had only just killed 4 of the disguised mirror images. The only thing they gained was that Bufifan had roughly mastered the invading method. It was enough for him to brag about it for a few years after he returned to the Hunter Academy. Even a super cyber expert like Zhue Ming would need a day or two to break through the 18 firewalls, and there was no guarantee that it would be flawless. As Matthew still had work to do during the day, he left the rest to Bufifan. He told Bufifan to contact him immediately if he had any doubts and send him the code. He would then let him know if he could continue. Therefore, when Matthew went to work, Bufifan took a shower and had a simple meal, before continuing with his work. Although it was difficult, it was still fun for Bufifan. There were still 5 days left. Su Yun was not in a hurry, and Bufifan was getting calmer. Bufifan was so immersed in his work that he even stayed beside the computer to eat. Yifala was doing the same. If it was not for the fact that Yifala was too embarrassed to feed Bufifan when he grew up, she would even be willing to feed him herself. It wasn't until 8 o'clock in the evening that Matthew finished his work and came back. At this time, Bufifan had successfully defeated the 8th group. Unfortunately, it was still a disguised mirror image, not a real computer host. Matthew gestured for Bufifan to rest for a while and leave the rest to him. With his speed, it would not be a problem for him to deal with 5 to 6 groups in one night. Moreover, he did not believe that he would not be able to hit one of the 5 to 6 groups. Bufifan was so excited that he couldn't fall asleep. However, it was still necessary for him to get up and move around so that he could eat something. He only ate a little in the morning and at noon, and he only ate a few mouthfuls for dinner. Bufifan did not dare to disobey Matthew's command. He obediently got up and rested for a while. However, an hour later, he still could not wait to check on the computer. Their hard work paid off, and the goddess of luck finally favored them this time. This time, after Matthew cracked the last firewall and successfully infiltrated, they finally succeeded in entering Torton's computer host. F***CK. Bufifan was so excited that he almost broke the mouse in his hand. He suddenly stood up in front of the computer. This moment was simply too exciting. The problem that Zhue Ming had spent 20 days to solve last time, the master and disciple duo had only used 24 hours to solve it. Although they did not rest for a minute in these 24 hours, Bufifan felt that it was worth it. Tuotong. King, wait for me, I'll make sure you can't escape this time. Bufifan roared in his heart. Of course, although they successfully hacked into Tuotong's computer, there was still a defense mechanism inside Tuotong's computer, so it would still take some time to check the computer's address and locate the coordinates. However, this was a piece of cake for Matthew. Matthew did not disappoint, and used less than an hour to find the coordinates of Tuotong's computer. At this moment, Tuotong was in a high-class tourist resort in Shenzhen, Sun Island Tourist Resort. Bufifan could not wait to fly to Yanjing and give Matthew a big hug. This is all I can help you with, the rest is up to you. Matthew smiled and said to Bufifan, if you still have time after the mission is completed, come to Yanjing to find me. I'll see if I can take a day off. Okay. Bufifan nodded and promised Matthew. Okay, go do what you need to do. Don't let that bastard Tuotong release the virus. Remember to be careful. Matthew reminded him one last time. Chapter 3559. The Sun Island Tourist Resort was a famous vacation spot in Shenzhen. It covered an area of nearly 200 hectares and the river flowed endlessly. It was as if it was woven for history and formed for the accumulation of civilization. Shenzhen was most familiar with the golf club here. It was definitely an important part of the resort and took up almost half of the island. The lakeside golf course was shrouded in the sunlight. It was a place where many of Shenzhen's upper class liked to discuss business. Therefore, Yifala was quite familiar with this place. Although she wasn't a golf expert, she could still be considered a fan. What Yifala loved wasn't golf, but this circle. As everyone knew, the golf circle was an immeasurable, intangible asset. If one wanted to enter the upper class or gain a foothold in the upper class, they had to grasp and use this circle well. Su Yun also knew this because when he first took over the Sky Entertainment Group, Zhou Meiyan had asked him to play golf with her many times. However, Su Yun really didn't have much interest and didn't have much time. As the old saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. At that time, the world had changed and modern society seemed to be reorganized. The idiom, birds of a feather flock together, in modern society had completely become, birds of a feather flock together. The rich played in one circle while the poor played in another. The entertainment circle, the sports circle, the cultural circle. There were all kinds of circles. To put it bluntly, no matter what industry a person was in, if they didn't enter the circle of the industry, it was a failure. Nowadays, many people involved in online literature would only be worthy of the identity of a writer if they couldn't enter the literary circle. Only when they entered the literary circle could they be considered a writer. It didn't matter if the work was bad or not. For today's society, status was always very important. If a person wanted to enter the upper class and become a figure at the top of the pyramid, they would have to mingle in one or a few circles. Only in this way could they obtain more emotional exchanges and character recognition. Only in this way could they obtain more information that was beneficial to them. Only in this way could they feel more secure. Only in this way could they feel satisfied. In this society, those who could play knew that the circle was productivity. Once they left it, their life would become lonely and their career wouldn't be as easy. Without the circle, there was no way to survive. People without the circle were lonely and inevitably weak. Within and between circles, the combination of interpersonal relationships was a good channel for social benefits. As a result, more and more people became proficient in this field and were willing to play in circles. The aggregated energy formed by these circles could not be ignored, especially the circles in the business world. They could decide the life and death of an enterprise or even the direction of the industry. Xia, in particular, was one of the most relationship-oriented countries in the world. In Xia, there were several kinds of relationships that were particularly important. One was the relationship between old comrades in arms, which was very important because they had been through thick and thin together, and the trust between them was very strong. The other was the relationship between classmates. Of course, this did not refer to kindergarten classmates or elementary school classmates. It referred to the relationship between the EMBA class and the CEO class in the business world. To put it bluntly, the reason why businessmen were willing to pay such an expensive tuition fee was for the circle, not for knowledge at all. In the vast network of interpersonal relationships, the relationship between schoolmates and alumni was particularly interesting. When you had the bloodline of a certain famous school, you would naturally join the utilitarian network of the famous school club and master some important social resources. Therefore, you would have more senior and high-quality resources across industries. Knowledge and capital were organizations that combined. Xia had many such platforms, such as the Xia Entrepreneur Club and the Xia Financial Golf Team Alliance. This Xia Financial Golf Team Alliance was founded by a large group, which combined finance and golf. Thousands of capable people could quickly connect financial elites with golf links through this relationship, forming a super cross-border interaction. This explained the importance of the golf circle, which also showed that the vast majority of people who played golf were people with a certain status. This was absolutely unquestionable. In these circles formed by entrepreneurs, business cooperation between each other was everywhere. And the success of business often depended on a phone call or a few words of communication. The operating cost of business and business opportunities in this circle was obviously much lower than that of conventional business cooperation. The most important point was that the circle was a society of acquaintances. Once there was a breach of contract, the reputation in the circle would be lost, and the price would be high. Therefore, there was enough motivation to maintain the trust between each other. Circles were obviously everywhere in modern society. The existence of circles, from an economic point of view, for individuals, reduced the cost of people's communication. In terms of the operation of the whole society, circles were a kind of institutional arrangement. Therefore, golf seemed to be a high-consumption leisure and entertainment activity, but in fact, it reduced the cost of cooperation for everyone. In the eyes of the common people, golf was expensive green luxury, a well-dressed gentleman's performance, and an elite culture that was exclusive to the upper class. In fact, golf could become a common toy for the world's rich, and it had a unique attraction that other games did not have. In any high-end golf course in the world, there was no lack of rich people. This might be an important reason why Tuotong would hide here. Any random person in this place could be a super bargaining chip in his hand, a super hostage. At the thought of this, Su Yun and Yi Fala could clearly feel their heads aching. Clearly, Tuotong had considered this aspect before choosing this place. Although Bu Fifan knew about the Sun Island Resort's golf course, he did not consider this point. After all, although he learned a lot of things in the Hunter Academy that could not be learned outside, there was no way he could learn about society. In this society where connections were the source of money, playing golf was not just relaxing and exercising, but also a platform for business communication. Tuotong was hiding in a business communication platform at the moment. This was definitely not good news. In the past, the bosses used the traditional dinner or clubhouse as a way of socializing. Moreover, many people in the business and political circles were tired of this kind of socializing. In fact, they were tired of eating big fish and meat, and started to prefer light vegetables. In today's society, this was the best way to socialize. Not only was it good for physical exercise, but it was also good for promoting business cooperation. How many elites gathered in an economic center like Shenzhen? Therefore, it was not hard to imagine how busy the Sun Island golf course was. Even at night, it would definitely be filled with people from the upper class. Not only was there a golf course, there were also vacation villas, clubhouses, and all kinds of high-end places. After playing 18 holes of golf, it was easy to have a subtle chemical reaction between people, mutual appreciation, and a deeper relationship. Then, at night, they would go to the clubhouse for a chat, or sit in the cigar bar, or any other place that showed off their status and luxury. It was possible to facilitate a big business deal. Therefore, in many multinational companies, especially in companies that relied on interpersonal relationships, the golf culture was recognized and respected. After all, the Sun Island golf course was not the only place. There was also a large-scale horse track, an open-air karting arena, an artificial beach, a quiet European-style vacation spa villa, an ancient Indian-style Peacock Dynasty Chinese restaurant, authentic and traditional Italian cuisine cooked by an Italian chef with fresh ingredients, an Italian restaurant where you could sip a selection of Italian red wine, a natural spa, a yacht, a farm. For words, everything one could think of. Everything that the rich played was available here. When a person had to make an important decision, such as signing a large contract, the probability of success was higher when the body and mind were relaxed and in a good mood. The Sun Island Resort made it easier for people to enter a relaxed state. Under such circumstances, people were more willing to accept some new things, and their usual nervousness and vigilance would be reduced to a minimum. Therefore, Su Yun could imagine just how many rich people there were in this place. It wouldn't be interesting if something were to happen in this place. God knows what crazy things they would force Tuotong to do. If he killed a few business bigwigs, the entire economy of Huaxia might be affected. Chapter 3560. Su Yun looked at Yi Fala and asked faintly, "You're familiar with this place, so you should give us some advice." Advice? It's not a wise choice to disturb Tuotong in this place. Yefala took a deep breath. Ludong Business Gang, Sunan Business Gang, Juzhong Business Gang, Minnan Business Gang, and Pearl River Delta Business Gang. The rich people of the 5 biggest business gangs in Huaxia all like to play golf in this resort and talk business at the same time. Su Yun also smiled bitterly. Bu Fifan was puzzled. Isn't a golf course just a place where the socialites of the upper class gather and laugh together and twist their waists? That's just what you see on the surface, Yi Fala said. What's inside? Bu Fifan frowned. I don't see it, so tell me. It's a place where the business leaders freely show off their kingly demeanor. Yi Fala spread out his hands. Am I being very straightforward? I don't need to explain it to you anymore, right? Bu Fifan said. So what? We won't disturb them if we go. Besides, who would play golf in the middle of the night? Of course we won't disturb them, but aren't you worried? For Tuotong, he might do something desperate at any time. Yi Fala said, if he really bites some unlucky rich boss, this matter will have an impact. Our principal said that in a society like Huaxia where connections are the source of money, how many of the so-called rich people in the upper class are clean? Bu Fifan sneered. It's an exaggeration to say that 10 out of 100 are clean. Most of them are. What do you know? Yi Fala interrupted Bu Fifan. Although Bu Fifan's words were not wrong, his understanding was too one-sided and too radical. It was because he hadn't come into contact with some things that he would judge a matter or some people based on what he saw. Isn't that the case? Bu Fifan said. How many of them are like my godfather? Mother Yi, I don't know about the others, but among the rich people in Shenzhen, can you name 10 of the top 100 who are clean? If you can say that, I'm impressed. Don't judge with your standards. Yefra said, even if some people are not clean, if their merits outweigh their faults, then even if they are valuable to society, at least to a certain extent, having such a person is better than not having such a person. If you say so, I'm not convinced. Bu Fifan shook his head. Who cares if you submit or not? Yefra said, in any case, we can't let Tuo Tong threaten the safety of anyone in the resort. Bu Fifan said, we already have the detailed coordinates. Once we get there, we can determine which holiday Villa Tortun is staying in. We can attack him when he's unprepared. How can we give him a chance to hurt others? But what if? Yi Fara asked. Bu Fifan looked at Su Yun helplessly and said firmly, I'm not doing this alone. There's still my godfather. You may not believe me, but don't you believe him? If he can bring a few of his men, I'll feel relieved. Yefra said without hesitation. But now, because of you, I can rest assured about Su Yun. But for you, I only need a what if. I'm not the ignorant bastard I used to be. Bu Fifan smiled bitterly. Mother Yi, I've really changed a lot. I'm much more reliable than before. With me, you should be more assured. Seeing Yi Fala's firm attitude, Bu Fifan had no choice but to ask Su Yun for help. Godfather, help me say something. Can't the two of us even settle this small matter? It's just Tuo Tong. What's the big deal? This worry is necessary. Su Yun smiled and said to Bu Fifan, Tuo Tong is a mad dog. When no one forces him, he's a mad dog. Bu Fifan was stunned. Su Yun asked, do you know what a mad dog is? Of course I know. A mad dog will bite people when no one forces him. If someone forces him, he'll definitely bite even more crazily. Su Yun, this is what your mother is worried about. Besides, we can't be sure of one thing right now. Bu Fifan raised his head and stared at Su Yun. What is it? Is Tuo Tong alone? Could he be with someone? Will he mix with those rich people? If so, what should we do when we go there? Su Yun, as long as he notices, everyone around him will be in danger. Do you understand? Bu Fifan was stunned. Before Su Yun said this, he really didn't think about this at all. Then what should we do? Bu Fifan suddenly became anxious. Do we already know that he's at the Sun Island Resort, but we can't go directly to his door? Were they supposed to just watch and wait for him to release the virus? Then let Tuo Tong go for the safety of those rich people? Seeing how anxious Bu Fifan was, Su Yun shook his head and said, Of course not. I definitely won't let Tuo Tong escape, and I definitely won't just watch. Then what should we do? Bu Fifan looked at Su Yun eagerly. Su Yun smiled and said, Among us, the only person Tuo Tong has seen is you. Bu Fifan was stunned. So? So as long as you don't appear at the Sun Island Resort, you won't alert the enemy. Su Yun, even if he and I stand face to face, as long as I don't say anything, he won't suspect me. Bu Fifan was even more confused by Su Yun's words. Think about it. CEO Yi of Shenzhong's famous Xinkai Hotel would bring CEO Su of Sky Entertainment Group to this circle. How normal is this? Su Yun, if it were you, would you suspect the reason for someone of this status to come to the Sun Island Resort? Bu Fifan shook his head and looked at Su Yun in shock. If I'm not wrong, with Tuo Tong's technical ability, he can easily use computers to hack into the surveillance equipment of the Sun Island Resort. Any vehicle entering or leaving the resort, as well as the people in the vehicle, won't escape his eyes. People who do bad things are often more vigilant. Su Yun said, "If we were to suddenly visit at this time and put ourselves in Tuo Tong's shoes, wouldn't you be suspicious?" Bu Fifan nodded. If he were in their shoes, he would definitely be suspicious. Su Yun smiled slightly. "Let's change the pattern. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, it's sunny and sunny. Mr. Yi and Mr. Su will go play golf. Then, Mr. Su will introduce a few friends to Mr. Yi and stay here for the night. Everyone will interact with each other, talk about life, and discuss cooperation." Even Yi Farah was surprised by Su Yun's idea. This guy had used a normal method to join the social circle to enter this place. If this made Tuo Tong suspicious, then Tuo Tong was simply an immortal. If it's like this, will anyone still be suspicious? Su Yun was still looking at Bu Fifan. Bu Fifan shook his head and said, "No. If that's the case, and you agree with my plan, then follow it. Leave this matter to me. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, your mother Yi and I will go to the Sun Island Resort. Then at this time tomorrow, I believe this matter will be resolved, Su Yun. If you don't want to alert the enemy, then wait obediently." Yi Farah was very satisfied with Su Yun's arrangement. But Bu Fifan was unwilling. "Then what does this have to do with me? Doesn't that mean I didn't do anything? Then what's the point of me coming here? I might as well call for help, and you can solve it for me." When Bu Fifan said this, he was obviously unwilling. He was very depressed about this. Anyone else would be very depressed. It was clearly a matter that needed to be solved by himself, but in the end, he couldn't even intervene. What was the point of this? Then, do you think it's better for you to take the risk and alert the enemy, or to kill this bastard Tuo Tong with your own hands? Su Yun, make a choice. Of course it's the latter. Bu Fifan shook his head helplessly. Su Yun patted Bu Fifan's shoulder. "Since you know what's the wise choice, then there's no need to be depressed. Don't worry, I will bring him to you alive." "Yes, and who said that you didn't play a role in this matter? Matthew has his own work during the day, and all the network technology during the day was done by you." Yi Farah said, "In the end, I will leave Tuo Tong to you personally. What you did was enough. More than anyone else." Chapter 3561. Su Yun knew that Bu Fifan was not willing to give up. He patted his shoulder and said, "You have to know that she treats you like her own, so you have to believe in her. Everything she does is for your sake." Bu Fifan knew that he could not dissuade the two of them, so he could only nod and agree. "Then you must not forget that in the end, you must leave it to me to deal with this bastard." "Okay." Su Yun nodded. "But if you want to deal with it, it's best to do it overseas, or at least on the high seas." Rigid. Yi Farah looked at Su Yun speechlessly. Was there a need to care so much about a bastard like Tuo Tong, who everyone wanted to kill? "It's not rigid." Su Yun smiled and shook his head. "It's called principle. But principles are dead, and people are alive. That's why I asked him to go to the high seas to solve the problem. That way, he won't be bound by Hua Xia's laws. Otherwise, according to Hua Xia's laws, any unauthorized action is also a crime." Yi Farah was too lazy to discuss this issue with Su Yun. He would always have a reason for this issue. "Rest well today. I don't want to have dark circles when I go to Sun Island to play golf tomorrow." Su Yun nodded and said self-deprecatingly, "Tomorrow, I will show you my skills." "Don't give me that. Just don't embarrass me." Yi Farah said, "But I believe that Zhuo Meiyan will teach you some basics. You should not know how to hold a club, stand, and how to swing the club, right?" "You're right." Su Yun did not know whether to laugh or cry. "If I knew this day would come, I would definitely learn how to hit from Zhuo Meiyan." Yi Farah was really speechless at this time. But there was no other way. Although it was late, she still had to let Su Yun learn the basics. Otherwise, it would be easy to arouse suspicion if he went tomorrow and made a fool of himself. In order for Su Yun to be able to talk cheerfully tomorrow without being seen as a joke by anyone and without being noticed by Tuo Tong, Yifala immediately took out his golf bag and started explaining to Su Yun in detail. Su Yun was dumbfounded when he saw the 14 clubs in the bag. "Aren't you tired? Is it necessary to play golf? It's not like we're going fishing. We can catch more fish with more fishing rods. What do you know? The lengths of the clubs are different. According to the needs of hitting the ball, there must be different clubs. Here are 4 wooden clubs, 9 iron clubs, and 1 putter." Yifara said, "Although you're a beginner and don't need so much, you still have to get the equipment tomorrow to avoid being laughed at. Tomorrow morning, I'll call Chong to buy you the clothes, shoes, hats, gloves, and send them over." Su Yun sighed. How troublesome. This was the reason why he had rejected Zhuo Meiyan when she first brought him to play golf. To Su Yun, this sport was a little too pretentious. In fact, most people who played on the golf course were not good at it. They only knew a little about it. This was a sport used for communication. At least half of them were just pretending and knew a little about it. From now on, you have to remember not to embarrass yourself tomorrow. Yifara saw that Su Yun was a bit distracted. She picked up a club and knocked on him. This is a wooden club. According to its length and the angle of the club clamp, it is divided into different numbers. The smaller the number, the longer the length, and the higher and further the ball will be hit. I understand. Su Yun nodded. This is the basic principle. I know it even if you don't teach me. Can you be more humble? Yifara glared at Su Yun. Let me finish. I want to tell you that wooden clubs are mostly used in the teeing area. For a beginner like you, the number 3 wooden club is more suitable. Of course, the number 1 wooden club is the longest, the angle of the club head is the smallest, and it is called the teeing club. It is usually used in the par 4 and par 5 fields. Do you understand? Su Yun smiled bitterly. Will people look at my club when I play? Of course. Yifara said. Everyone will judge your identity, your value, your ability, and how much resources you have by looking at your club. Although we are going to catch Tuo Tong, I will not let you lose your identity and face. This may even affect the stock price of Sky Entertainment Group. Su Yun nodded. Perhaps this was the butterfly effect. It was just like when Zhuo Meiyan attended important events, she had to wear luxury brands. Regardless of whether it was comfortable or not, she had to drive a luxury car, regardless of whether the car was easy to park or not. This was because it symbolized status and wealth. It would affect the company and not the individual. Only naive people would think about what kind of car they would drive in order to be seen by others. This kind of thinking was actually quite ridiculous. Because in this world, there would never be a lack of cars more luxurious than your car, unless you drove the golden sports car that an Arabian tycoon spent 300 million euros to get. Of course, no one could afford to drive such a car. Probably even the tycoon had only driven it a few times. After all, other cars only needed to calculate the fuel consumption, but this car not only had a high fuel consumption, it was said that it also consumed gold. It would wear 50 grams of gold per 100 kilometers. I'm going to tell you now. This wooden club in my hand right now, the one you're going to use tomorrow, is Spaulding's club. Even though it's not some top-grade club suitable for collection, it's still worth more than $30,000. Yifara said. Use it carefully. Don't break it. Su Yun did not know whether to laugh or cry. This small broken club cost $30,000? Also, the iron club head is made of soft iron. It is slightly thinner than the wooden club. It is mainly used to control the short distance. Yifara said. The number 1, 2, and 3 iron clubs are easy to grasp. The club is long and heavy. The number 4, 5, and 6 are easy to swing and easy to use. They are suitable for beginners. The number 7, 8, and 9 are short iron clubs. They are used to hit the ball at close range or in difficult positions. As he said that, Yifara took out a number 2 iron club. This is a club that can be taken out directly to show off. I bought it at a Sotheby's auction a few years ago. At that time, it cost me more than $90,000. This is an 18th century club. Look at it. Doesn't it look like it at all? You are asking me to play with an antique. That is too sinful. Su Yun was speechless. Looking at this iron club, if he went to the toll booth, they would not even accept it for $5. Yi Fara actually spent more than $90,000? That would cost $500,000 to $600,000. Yi Fara smiled slightly. This is in line with your identity. On the golf course, from time to time, people will bring a valuable club to show their strength. Don't tell me that this pack of clubs is worth millions. Su Yun looked at the big pack of clubs on the ground. Yi Fara shook his head. With a mysterious smile, he took out another club. The putter head is also made of soft iron. It is mainly used to push the ball into the hole. Look at what is written on this club. Su Yun took a look. Casa. What does it mean? Fruitwood metal head paddle putter made by Simon Kozar. Yi Fara proudly said, the body of the club is made of fruit wood. I bought it at a Christie's auction. How much? Su Yun immediately felt an ominous premonition. This was definitely not a cheap person. Looking at Yi Fara's expression, he knew that this club was more expensive than the previous one. 165,000. Yi Fara smiled slightly and added, USD. What the F*CK? Su Yun really wanted to vomit blood. He said that this pack of clubs was worth millions. This club alone was worth millions. What kind of joke was this? Was he playing or flaunting his wealth? I don't usually use these clubs. Only when I meet those who especially like to pretend and especially like to show off will I take them out to shake the place. Yi Fara said, so you should cherish them a little. Don't break them for me. Su Yun smiled bitterly. I am under a lot of pressure now. I am afraid that this bag will be stolen. Even if it is stolen, I won't be able to sell it for so much money. You are worth more than this. If you can give yourself a price, I will accept any price, Yi Fara said without any trace of politeness. Bu Fifan made a tsk sound and looked helpless. He shook his head and said, stop flirting. I am still here. Practice your basic playing posture. Otherwise, if you take such a good club and your posture is not standard, you will be laughed at even more. Because of Bu Fifan's words, Su Yun also became serious. Under Yi Fara's guidance, Su Yun already had some achievements after practicing for 2 hours. At least at a glance, he did not look like a novice anymore. At least, he was at the level of an amateur. Seeing this, Yi Fara was relieved and went to rest. Chapter 3562. The next morning, the foot soldier drove Chong to pick out other equipment for Su Yun. He rushed over at 9 a.m. and bought a branded golf suit, gloves, and even a hat for Su Yun. It was the same design as Tiger Woods. As for the shoes, they were also professional grade. They were not the kind worn by ordinary sports brands. There were more than 10 nails under the feet to prevent slippage and allow the player to maintain balance when swinging. The screws that held the nails were very firm. Otherwise, if the screws loosened, the shoes would not have much meaning. Su Yun saw that the equipment was so complete. It would be a waste of money if he did not play a few rounds. At this time, Yi Fara also received a call. It was about the matter she sent a text message to her secretary yesterday. Okay, I got it. Thank you for your hard work today. After hanging up, Yi Fara dialed a number and smiled slightly. CEO G, I'm Yi. Oh, it's CEO Yi. Do you have any orders? CEO G was a very famous person in Shenzhen. People called him Ji Huangjin. He was from Shaanxi. When coal was just recognized as black gold, he started to do coal mining. He did it for about 15 years. Then, he saw the opportunity and suddenly changed to real estate. 5 or 6 years ago, before the real estate industry showed signs of decline, Ji Huangjin knew that this industry would stagnate sooner or later. Then, while doing real estate, he set his eyes on the smartphone industry and started to do this. He did not create his own brand, but he made parts for many brands. In these 5 or 6 years, the development of electronic equipment was unprecedented. Ji Huangjin definitely made a lot of money. 5 or 6 years ago, even the more fashionable young people were still holding on to Nokia. At that time, Jobs had just made the iPhone a household name in Huaxia. Now, people in their 60s and children as young as 3 years old could swipe the screen to answer calls. Therefore, Ji Huangjin was a person who was very good at reading the market. What was the development of these years? Of course, it was the film and television entertainment. Any lousy film could be sold for hundreds of millions. As long as one had the connections to get into theaters, they would definitely make a fortune. Compared to Ji Huangjin, what had become of those who did not keep up with the trend of the times? The little boss was worried, the middle boss was holding on, and the big boss was gritting his teeth. In the past 3 to 4 years, the price of iron ore had dropped by 70%. In the past 4 to 5 years, the price of coke had dropped by 75%. In the past 5 to 6 years, the price of steel had dropped by 80%. What was even more amazing was that the price of a metal called nickel had dropped by 90% in the past 7 to 8 years. A person who had been guarding a matter to the death had now lost everything. Ji Huangjin didn't insist on doing one thing. He wanted to do whatever he could get rich from. It was a pity that he had recently taken a liking to the film and entertainment industry. He wanted to make a fortune in this industry, but he could not get a chance. There was no boss who could bring him in. Although he had been approached by some small investment dramas, he was really not interested. This was because these small investment dramas had almost no possibility of becoming popular. At most, they would make a little money and sleep with an N-list actress. It could be said that this was completely unattractive to Ji Huangjin. If Ji Huangjin wanted to find a big investment, he had to know the big shots in this industry. Su Yun was definitely the #1 big shot in this industry. Yi Farah confidently said to Ji Huangjin, "How would I dare to order CEO Ji? I just remember that in a dinner half a year ago, CEO Ji sighed and said that the few film and television investments were too small. Today, a friend came to my house. I think I will introduce him to CEO Ji. CEO Ji will definitely be interested." Oh. Ji Huangjin was stunned. CEO Yi still remembers what happened half a year ago? If it wasn't for this friend of mine, I really wouldn't have remembered. But when I saw him, I immediately remembered everything in the entertainment and film industry. Yi Farah said, "So naturally, I can remember CEO Ji's complaints." Ji Huangjin's curiosity was immediately piqued. Then he must be a big shot. Otherwise, how could CEO Yi think of the entire film and television industry? He is indeed a big shot, CEO Su of the Sky Entertainment Group. Yi Farah said, "CEO Ji, have you heard of him?" Oh my! Ji Huangjin directly jumped up from the ground. This is not just a big shot, this is simply a god level. How could I have such a good opportunity? This is definitely the goddess of luck favoring me. Ji Huangjin couldn't wait to kiss Yi Farah's shoes to express his gratitude. It seemed that there were still benefits for him to arrange many high-end receptions and high-end meetings at Xinkai Hotel. At least, Yi Farah was paying attention to his matters. He immediately contacted him when he had the opportunity. CEO Yi, you can't joke about this. Ji Huangjin said excitedly, "I'm serious." Of course, I'm not joking. CEO Su is right beside me. Yi Farah said, "I only called you after confirming that he had time. I also respect CEO Su very much. CEO Su is my idol." Ji Huangjin said, "CEO Yi, how about this? I'll arrange whatever you say. Do you want me to find a place for us to meet, or do you want me to visit your house directly? You can ask CEO Su how it's convenient. If CEO Su likes to chat while drinking, then I'll arrange for you to go to my club." "There's no need." Yi Farah interrupted Ji Huangjin's words. "If you want to drink and chat, is there a better wine tasting place than the top floor of Xinkai?" Ji Huangjin patted his head hard. "Look at my brain. Why didn't I think of this?" "Aya, how about this, CEO Yi, let CEO Su wait for a while. I'll go visit him. CEO Ji, actually, it's not very convenient here. You don't have to trouble yourself to make another trip. Yi Farah said, it's like this. Chairman Su doesn't actually like to sit down and talk about business. Anyone would hate to entertain too many people. He likes to play golf very much. After all, going from the first hole to the 18th hole on the green grassy fairway, freely breathing in the fresh air of the countryside and bathing in the warm sunshine, makes him feel happy. Ji Huangjin slapped his thigh and was excited. However, Yi Farah didn't wait for him to speak and said, how about this, CEO Ji? I'll make an appointment at the Sun Island Resort and see if we can prepare the golf course tomorrow. I'll bring CEO Su over. You come too. We'll play golf together and chat. If we can't make an appointment, then it'll be a pity. CEO Su doesn't have that much time. He'll be leaving the day after tomorrow. Playing golf wasn't like going to the stadium to play basketball on the concrete floor. You didn't have to bring anything. You could go empty-handed and team up with strangers to play a game or something. Golf had to be booked and rented. This was the rule. Without an appointment, any club could refuse. They had to book a date and confirm the specific time in advance. Then we can't wait until tomorrow. Ji Huangjin laughed and said, CEO Yi, bring CEO Su to the Sun Island golf course now. I have rented a place. I'm here now. Don't you think it's a coincidence? This is too much of a coincidence. Ha 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 ha. It can't be. Yi Farah pretended to be surprised. In fact, this was what Yi Farah had asked his secretary to do yesterday. Find a way to check the list of people who rented a place to play golf on Sun Island today. Ji Huangjin was the easiest person on the list for Yi Farah to use. Yi Farah could only say that this wasn't used for nothing. At least, Ji Huangjin really wanted to know someone like Su Yun. This was definitely a good opportunity for Ji Huangjin. If Ji Huangjin's way of doing things could satisfy Su Yun might really give Ji Huangjin a chance and a recommendation in the film and television industry. This was definitely more important than anything else for Ji Huangjin. This is fate. Ji Huangjin sighed. If I didn't love golf so much, I'm afraid I wouldn't have the chance to meet CEO Su. Fate, it's definitely fate. Yi Farah held back his laughter and said, yes, this is really fate. CEO Ji, I'll talk to CEO Su now. If it goes well, we'll prepare to go over immediately. Okay. I'll wait for you. Ji Huangjin was so excited that he danced with joy. He couldn't wait to pick them up personally. Chapter 3563. After Yi Farah hung up the phone, Su Yun sighed, women are indeed more meticulous. You thought of all the details. Fortunately, I have you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to consider everything so thoroughly. Since it happened right beside me, then I must give you full marks. Yefala smiled and said, moreover, my family's baby is still waiting for our good news. Mother Yi, I'm already so old. It's not appropriate for you to call me that. Bu Fifan was embarrassed. Don't call me that in the future. I definitely won't call you that in front of outsiders. There are no outsiders now. What's there to be embarrassed about? Yi Farah said disapprovingly. Bu Fifan didn't argue with her anymore. Then go quickly. Don't delay the important matters. The infantry drove the two of them directly to the Sun Island Resort. In the car, Su Yun asked Yi Farah worriedly, what do you think if this Ji Huangjin really wants me to introduce him to some investments? Do I really agree to it? Then we'll have to see if he's worthy of your attention. Yi Farah said, I only said that I would introduce him to a friend. I didn't say that I would introduce him to a god of wealth. So, you don't need to worry about my face at all. If you think that he's not reliable, it's fine if you don't introduce him to anyone. But he's still someone in your circle. Su Yun knew that although Yi Farah said this, she definitely didn't want it to be like this. However, Yi Farah said seriously, not everyone in a circle is a friend. There are also enemies who scheme against each other. I'm telling you very seriously, don't put pressure on me. I'm not familiar with Ji Huangjin. At most, He won't be able to hold company meetings and high-level receptions at Shinkai Hotel. Shinkai doesn't lack 1 or 2 customers. There are plenty of people coming. Su-yun nodded. Then I'll do as I please. Just do as you please. I don't want to put pressure on you because of me. That would be too big of a sin. Yi Fala smiled bitterly, but I can guarantee that Ji Huangjin will definitely run to the door to welcome you. This guy will definitely worship you like a god of wealth. Then I'm really not used to it. Su-yun was helpless. The car soon arrived at the Sun Island Resort. As expected by Yi Fala, Ji Huangjin was already waiting at the entrance of the resort. Yi Faraday immediately ordered the infantry to stop the vehicle and got off to greet Ji Huangjin. Su-yun also got off the vehicle after Yi Faraday. When Ji Huangjin saw Su-yun, his eyes shone. This was truly a fortunate thing for him. Director Su. Nice to meet you. Ji Huangjin immediately stretched out his hand and took the initiative to show his goodwill. Moreover, his palm was slightly turned up, which showed his respect for Su-yun. Handshakes between businessmen, especially between potential partners, were very particular. People who thought that they were important and had a dominant position in a certain cooperation liked to press their palms down when they shook hands. It was as if the person shaking hands with them was suppressed, unintentionally. If the person being suppressed also admitted that they were not in a dominant position, then they would obediently be suppressed by others. However, if they felt that they were not inferior to the other party and did not want to be suppressed by the other party, then there was also a way to counterattack. Of course, it was impossible to directly pull the other party's hand away. This was not arm wrestling. Doing so was very impolite and lacking in quality. One only needed to stretch out their other hand and directly press down on the other party's hand that was turned down. If the former was also prepared to press down on the other party, then the person being pressed down would be able to get rid of it in time. After all, a handshake only lasted for a few seconds. It was impossible to not let go for more than 10 seconds. That was a man's handshake. Ji Huangjin's method was obviously to put himself in a lower position from the beginning. This was to express his sincerity. Yi Fala also saw this small detail and thought that this guy really knew how to conduct himself. Su-yun's first impression of Ji Huangjin was naturally quite good. Whenever someone liked to take the initiative to lower their status by half, it meant that this person was more suitable to be friends with. This was a kind of understanding of Su-yun. Therefore, when they shook hands, Su-yun used a little strength to straighten Ji Huangjin's hand. This was also a kind of respect. At least, Su-yun felt that it was necessary for anyone to be on equal footing if they wanted to be friends. Although it was a small action, it made Ji Huangjin admire Su-yun even more. Ji Huangjin's mouth was full of praise. What young and promising, what handsome. Although Ji Huangjin's education level was not high, he still used a few idioms to express that Su-yun was a dragon among men. Su-yun was not used to Ji Huangjin's words. After all, he was someone who did not like to flatter. However, this kind of occasion was not called flattery. It was a method to leave a good impression. It was a habit of Ji Huangjin. As long as it was someone that Ji Huangjin wanted to cooperate with, he could also praise a blockhead as tall and mighty. He could also praise a stupid dwarf as the essence of a person. In any case, he did not say anything unpleasant. Everything he said was good, and it was all good words that made people feel relaxed and happy. The scenes of these meetings were all under surveillance. Tuo Tong could see them all, especially when people came in and out. He would be very concerned. However, Tuo Tong did not see any flaws in this situation at all. This was because all the rich people who came here to play liked to wear a mask to chat with others. Even if their real faces were ugly, they would still wear a hypocritical mask to communicate. I heard that Chief Su likes to play golf. I'm really excited because I like it too. I didn't expect that we would be so fated to like the same sport. Ji Huangjin laughed. Ji Huangjin was not tall. At most he was 1.6 meters. This height was obviously a little short for a man. This might be closely related to the fact that his family was poor when he was young, and the food he ate was not nutritious. Su Yun seemed to say something unintentionally. He also wanted to see the nature of Ji Huangjin. Chief Ji, actually, I also like to play basketball. Me too. Ji Huangjin did not care about his height at all. Chief Su, don't look at my body now. When I was your age, I also played basketball. However, with my height, I can only play as a point guard. Sometimes, I don't even have a chance to shoot a ball. As long as it's a 1.8 meter or 1.9 meter tall guy, he can easily cover me. He doesn't even need to jump. This guy's heart was quite bright. Su Yun's first impression of Ji Huangjin was not bad. Let's not talk about basketball here. Let's talk about golf. Let's quickly change and play golf. If there's anything to talk about, we can talk while playing. This is not the place to chat. Yi Fala smiled slightly. Yes. Ji Huangjin immediately agreed. They quickly went to the locker room to change their clothes and shoes. Then, they prepared to enter the court. Yi Fala did not go to the court. Instead, she said that she wanted to see if there were any suitable vacation villas. She would get a room for Chief Su and have fun here today and tomorrow. Although they had entered various surveillance screens many times, they were not suspected by Tuo Tong at all. Su Yun and Ji Huangjin went to play golf. Yi Fala carefully went to find the manager of the Sun Island Resort Villa. Because Yi Fala was the famous lady boss of a 5-star hotel in Shenzhen, she had a lot of experience in management. Therefore, the boss of the Sun Island Resort Villa had invited Yi Fala to give a lesson to their management staff. Therefore, Yi Fala could be seen here. When the manager of the resort villa heard that Chief Yi was looking for him, he immediately prepared to receive her. This was a very important matter to him. Everyone would pay attention to a person they respected. After Yi Fala met with manager Lu, the two of them casually exchanged a few words. The manager told Yi Fala that there were still a few vacation villas left. If she chose, no matter which one she liked, she could get a discount. Moreover, it was a 30% discount. This was his highest authority. Yi Fala smiled and made a request of her. Although this request was excessive for people in the industry, Yi Fala still wanted to give it a try. Can I know who is staying in these vacation villas? Can you show me the check-in registration? Yi Fala obviously wanted to find someone. However, there were rules in this industry. The customer's information must be kept confidential. If it was revealed, it would be against professional ethics. Yi Fala's request obviously made things difficult for manager Lu. Chapter 3564. Supervisor Lu's face was a little ugly. He stuttered a few words. He wanted to reject Yi Fala's request, but he didn't want to be too direct. After all, it would be embarrassing. Yi Fala could see that Supervisor Lu was in a difficult position. He smiled and said, "Supervisor Lu, I don't have any other intentions. You know that I'm a businessman. My purpose for doing this is very simple. Yes. It's because I know about Director Ye's business that I feel troubled. After all, this has to be kept a secret. It's our principle." Supervisor Lu said embarrassedly, "I won't disturb other customers. Moreover, if you don't say anything, I won't say anything. No one will know." After Yi Fala finished speaking, he took out the red packet that he had prepared in advance from his pocket and handed it to Supervisor Lu. This was all prepared by Yi Fala. He didn't mention it to Su Yun. Supervisor Lu was stunned for a moment. Before he could react, Yi Fala stuffed the red packet into his pocket. Because Supervisor Lu was wearing a windbreaker, his pocket was big. Therefore, there was no trace of the 10,000 yuan red packet being stuffed into his pocket. Seeing Yi Fala do this, Supervisor Lu quickly reached in and wanted to take out the red packet to reject it. However, when his hand reached into his pocket, he was instantly stunned. To be honest, he really didn't think that the red packet would be so thick. After all, he was only a manager of the Sun Island Resort Leisure Villa. He worked in the service industry. Although he came into contact with all kinds of influential people every day, he wasn't an influential person. Therefore, it was almost impossible for him to receive a big red packet. Even if his subordinates occasionally needed his help due to some special circumstances, they would only give him 1 or 2,000 yuan. Therefore, when Supervisor Liu touched such a thick red packet, he was stunned. This was Yi Fala's method. Yi Fala was very clear about what kind of people could be settled with what kind of methods. He also knew what kind of thickness could be used to solve the problem. If it was a staff member of a government unit, this amount of money might be something in their eyes. If it was a deputy section chief, they might not care. If it was a section chief, they wouldn't care about it. If it was a bureau chief, giving this amount of money was simply slapping their face. If it was a higher level, this amount of money would be humiliating them. But if he were to take the money, he would not dare to take the money that even a bureau-level cadre could take. He would be scared to death. Therefore, to Supervisor Liu, this amount would not scare him silly, nor would it be too small. He did not care. Although it was not an astronomical amount to him, it was still an amount he could enjoy. Supervisor Liu, who originally wanted to refuse, slowly loosened his hand and pulled it out of his pocket. A smile bloomed on his face. Chairman Yi, you're being too polite. We're all friends. This isn't good. Supervisor Liu, if you say that, then you are treating me as an outsider. Yi Fala smiled. Supervisor Liu knew that he had to do what Yi Fala wanted him to do. CEO Yi, are you looking for that boss? Is there some kind of cooperation? Actually, an important friend came today, but where he lives is not important. It's just that I just met CEO G today. Yi Fala said, CEO G is too enthusiastic. He immediately pulled my important friend away to play basketball. Right now, I'm not sure if my friend and CEO G can get along. If they can, then I'll choose a seat closer to CEO G. If they can't, then I'll choose a seat slightly further away. If they hate each other, then I can only choose a seat furthest away from CEO G. Supervisor Liu came to a sudden realization. Of course, Yi Fala was just saying. Whether Su Yun and Ji Huangjin could get along was something she could make up. She said a few more choices so that she could choose a seat closest to Tuo Tong. Okay. Then I'll check CEO G's room for you. Supervisor Liu nodded. Supervisor Liu, it's the same if you check all of them. Yi Fala heard Supervisor Liu's words and directly made a request. After all, Supervisor Liu had already taken her money. At this time, she could ask for her conditions. In this day and age, money was everything. Although Supervisor Liu was a little unwilling, he had already accepted the money. To him, it was not a small amount. He definitely couldn't refuse. If he didn't agree, the loss wouldn't just be money. Even this basic favor would be lost. This was not something he could mess around with. Okay. Supervisor Liu nodded. He quickly confirmed the numbers of all the villas and the corresponding guests. Then, he handed the list to Yi Fala. Yi Fala took the list and carefully looked through it. She didn't see Tuo Tong's name. However, she quickly cried because of her own ignorance. How could Tuo Tong use his own name? The second time she looked at the list, Yi Fala carefully picked out the people she knew. After all, Shenzhong's social circle was so small, especially the rich people. Yi Fala knew almost all the people who liked to play golf here. Therefore, Yi Fala could basically make a judgment and eliminate those people. Very quickly, Yi Fala was left with 3 unfamiliar names on the list. Supervisor Liu, this Mr. Meng is? Yi Fala asked casually. Supervisor Liu didn't think too much. Since he took the money, he would do his best. He wouldn't let others lose. This is a boss of the Pearl River Delta Chamber of Commerce. He is also a regular customer here. It is said that his business is very big. If you get to know him, you will definitely have a lot of business. And Yi Fala nodded. It seemed that Supervisor Liu was very clear about what she should say. Therefore, Yi Fala didn't hold back. Then, who is this Mr. Li? Supervisor Liu, this is the third son of our Shenzhong's transportation boss, Big Brother Li. Oh, so it's that dandy. Yi Fala smiled slightly and pointed to the last name she didn't know. Then, what about this person called Huang Renhua? I'm not familiar with this. Supervisor Lu said, he is our new guest here. He came and applied for a membership card. He said that he would be here for a month. He is a gentleman who knows how to enjoy himself. He seems to be an overseas Chinese. Moreover, his eyes and nose give people the feeling that he is a European. European. Yi Fala could more or less make a judgment in his heart. Tuo Tong was of mixed Chinese and Western descent. Therefore, his eyes and nose might be more Western, but overall, he still looked like an Asian. After all, Asian genes were very strong. You're not familiar with this? Then you should understand more about your own business. Yi Fala smiled and said, Supervisor Lu, understanding the situation of the guest and understanding the needs of the guest is something that people in the service industry need to learn the most. Supervisor Lu nodded and said, Yes, Director Yi is right. I should indeed strengthen my experience and learning in this area. I hope that Director Yi will give me more advice in the future. It can't be considered advice. So, are there any empty villas around him? Yi Fala said, I like to get to know each other with unfamiliar friends. Since you already have some understanding of that Mr. Meng, then I will help you understand this Mr. Huang. Then, thank you, Director Yi. Supervisor Lu smiled. Do you still need to ask for your friend's opinion? Whether he likes or dislikes Director Ji, we don't know right now. Then I have to choose this place even more. This place is neither near nor far. It is just right. Whether he likes to be friends with Director Ji or not, this place is not bad. Yi Fala immediately decided to avoid any trouble. If the house near Tuotong was chosen by others, it would not benefit them at all. Supervisor Lu nodded. Okay, then I'll listen to Director Yi. I'll help you with the procedures now. Okay. Yi Fala nodded. Right, get someone to clean the room properly. You know, I have a certain resistance to public accommodation outside. Maybe it's because I'm obsessed with mental cleanliness. I understand. Supervisor Lu smiled. Don't worry, I will definitely get someone to disinfect you again. We guarantee that this place is clean and hygienic. 100% of it is cleaned with disinfectant. There is also an ultraviolet antivirus machine. You can rest assured. It's always right to be more careful. Yi Fala said to Supervisor Lu. I'm afraid that the cleaners won't do things seriously. I run a hotel, so I know very well what's going on here. That's why I have this kind of obsession with mental cleanliness. Supervisor Lu smiled apologetically, but his hand touched his bulging pocket from time to time. He was afraid that people would see that there was something strange in his pocket. Yi Fala saw Supervisor Lu's vigilance and said, Supervisor Lu, if there's nothing else, you can go and do your work. I don't have anything else to do here. If there's anything, I'll contact you. Okay. Then I won't disturb Director Yi anymore. Supervisor Lu quickly left after saying that. He wanted to stuff the money into the car as soon as possible while no one noticed. Chapter 3565. Good shot. Ji Huangjin cheered loudly. He had been completely conquered by Su Yun's golf skills. Although Su Yun's swing was average, and the landing point of the ball was also average, as long as the landing point was within the putt's range, it was almost a 100% hit. Even if it was a distance of 40 or 50 meters, it could be pushed in. This meant that Su Yun was super talented in golf. His strength was already great, and every shot after the tee shot was further than others. This made it easy for Su Yun to hit birdies, or even eagles. And Ji Huangjin's shout just now was because Su Yun hit double eagle. It was the legendary double eagle shot. It meant that it was 3 strokes short of par. This was a very rare result on the golf course. As for the birdie, it was 1 stroke under par, and the eagle was 2 strokes under par. This was a piece of cake for Su Yun. Setting a score of 4-3 was a piece of cake. Setting a score of 5-4 was a piece of cake. For Ji Huangjin, he had never been able to hit par even once. Every time, he had to hit 2 or 3 more strokes to complete it. Of course, Ji Huangjin's level and results were what an amateur should have. And Su Yun's abnormal results were not common even among professional players. This double eagle shot simply stunned Ji Huangjin. Ji Huangjin had watched professional matches for so many years, but he had never seen an expert hit a double eagle shot. Su Yun easily hit a double eagle shot on a par 5 hole. Oh God! Ji Huangjin's voice was filled with admiration and worship. CEO Su, if you were to play golf, Tiger Woods wouldn't have a chance. Ji Huangjin wasn't flattering him. He was speaking from the bottom of his heart. Being able to hit birdies once or twice in a match was already considered an expert. Being able to hit eagles once or twice in a match was already considered an expert among experts. Su Yun had completely crushed all the professional players. His worst result was a birdie. Su Yun waved his hand. How would he know that being so accurate would make people admire him? Good luck, it's all good luck. Don't be modest. I always thought that I was pretty talented among the amateurs. I only know what a genius is after seeing you today. Ji Huangjin sighed. Go play professionally. You can earn a dazzling array of bonuses every year. The English Golf Open has increased the prize money to £6.3 million. If you win all 4 major Open tournaments and play a Grand Slam, it won't be a problem to earn hundreds of millions a year. Su Yun was shocked when he heard this, but he felt that it was not reliable. Besides, even if it was reliable, he would not participate in it. After all, it was unfair to ordinary people. Even if Lu Jiang stopped running, Su Yun would not participate in the Olympic hurdles. It was the same reason. Sports competition was for ordinary people to play. It was a type of sport that people pursued higher, farther, and stronger. If Su Yun and the others, who had broken through the limits of ordinary people, joined this kind of game, it would be a joke. It would directly destroy the original charm of sports. Flying people, flying fish, these were all in the eyes of ordinary people. Any super expert who participated in the competition could instantly kill them. To exaggerate, if it was a pole vault competition, Su Yun could jump higher than professional pole vaulters even if he did not use a pole. What was the point of competing? I'm in a more relaxed mood today, so I might play better. If you want me to compete, then there's no chance. Su Yun shook his head. He did not come here to play golf. He came here to do business. Su Yun thought that this Yi Fala was too unreliable. She actually threw him to this guy and then disappeared. This was too unreliable. Of course, if Su Yun knew what Yi Fala was doing now, he would definitely be surprised by what she did. You can be my master. Ji Huangjin suddenly said, That's right, you can be my master. I can also improve my level. If I can hit a birdie ball, it will be enough for me to boast for half a year. Ha ha ha, I once said that if I hit a birdie ball, I will donate 1 million yuan to the poor mountainous areas. If I hit an eagle ball, I will donate 5 million yuan. Oh. Su Yun was stunned for a moment. When he heard Ji Huangjin say such words, his impression of Ji Huangjin instantly improved by a lot. This was because Su Yun felt that anyone who had poverty in their heart, even if it was just a thought, was a good person who was worth befriending. Many people might not have enough ability, so it was impossible for them to donate so much money. However, they were sincerely worried for those who needed help. Thinking about it was actually a kind of kindness. Being able to bring charity into sports could obviously increase motivation. In the NBA's new Superstar Vault, he signed an agreement with a charity organization. For every 3-pointer he scored, he would donate 3 anti-malaria mosquito nets to the poor areas in Africa. Regardless of how controversial the star player was, regardless of whether he had the best record in the league's regular season but only managed to get second place in the playoffs, just this point alone, bringing charity into the game showed that his awareness was far stronger than the average person. Ji Huangjin actually had such awareness. Moreover, he was still an amateur and not a professional. To be able to say such words meant that he was not an ordinary person. Of course, for Ji Hwangjin, hitting a birdie ball was much more difficult than a professional basketball star scoring a three-pointer. However, the price he paid was also high. He spent 1 million yuan each time, which was equivalent to thousands of mosquito nets. CEO Ji, I really didn't expect. Su Yun said emotionally, you are actually such a person. Then I will teach you how to play. Ji Hwangjin smiled even more happily. If you are my master and teach me how to play, I will immediately take back what I said before. It doesn't count anymore. Why? Su Yun was stunned. He was confused by this guy. He didn't understand what he meant by doing this. CEO Su, you don't understand? I am saying that your teaching skills are good. If you teach me, what if I really hit a birdie ball? Ji Hwangjin didn't notice the change in Su Yun's expression at all. 1 million. You don't really think that I will donate 1 million yuan to the poor areas, do you? I am not a fool. Ha ha ha. Su Yun's face was completely gloomy. Since he didn't want to donate, why did he say that? Although Su Yun didn't say it out loud, Ji Hwangjin seemed to have sensed the problem. He laughed until he was out of breath and said to Su Yun, in the past, I dared to say such big words because I knew very well that I couldn't hit a birdie, so I would never need to donate this money. Then CEO Ji means, you are just saying this? Su Yun asked. Ji Hwangjin nodded. Of course, I am just saying. Otherwise. CEO Su, ha ha ha, if it were you, would you really donate? Although 1 million yuan is nothing to us, it is not a small amount. At least it can cultivate 10 powerful fighting dogs enough to participate in the competition, right? This is also an investment. It can definitely earn back 3 million yuan, or even 5 million yuan or more. And then. Su Yun hoped that Ji Hwangjin would say that the money he earned would be used for charity. At least tens of thousands of yuan would be fine, right? And then, of course, continue to invest in other things. Anyway, money makes money these days. It is better to feed the dogs than to donate the money to the poor. You can earn it back by feeding the dogs. Ji Hwangjin said with disdain, if it is fed to the poor, it is equivalent to wasting money. It is meaningless. If the club in his hand was not worth 1 million yuan, Su Yun would have directly hit Ji Hwangjin's head. Whether the club was broken or Ji Hwangjin's head was broken, one of them would be broken. Fortunately, this club was valuable. Ji Hwangjin really should thank this club. Otherwise, the possibility of his head being broken was much higher than the possibility of the club being broken. Ji Hwangjin, in fact, some words don't need to be said. If you can't do it, don't say it. Su Yun glanced at Ji Hwangjin and directly called his name. You know that you can't do it, but you still say it. This really makes people feel sick and nauseous. Ji Hwangjin was stunned for a moment and quickly explained, CEO Su, I was just joking. Haha, I am not such a boring person. I think so too. Su Yun. However, such a boring joke. If you are not a boring person, why would you make such a boring joke? He. Ji Hwangjin laughed very awkwardly. CEO Su, I really let you see a joke. I am a person with a bad mouth. I don't know how to tell jokes, and I don't know how to joke. I just wanted to lighten the atmosphere, but I messed it up. Ha ha ha, CEO Su, please don't mind. Just pretend that I didn't say anything just now. And Su Yun nodded. I will just pretend that you were talking nonsense. This was straightforward enough. If it were not because Ji Hwangjin wanted to squeeze into the film and television investment circle, he would have turned hostile. Chapter 3566. After all, Ji Hwangjin was also a person of status. Although his face was damaged, he would endure such a small grievance for the sake of his future. Presumably, CEO Su must be a charitable person. Ji Hwangjin wanted to make up a story to save his image in Su Yun's eyes. Su Yun nodded. Whether I am or not, it doesn't have much to do with you. At least, you aren't one. Actually, I used to be one too. Ji Huangjin put on a blank expression. Do you know, I've asked myself many times whether the things I do are really right, or whether it's because I'm too kind that I've fallen into the trap of some scheming people. You were kind before. Su Yun was puzzled. Of course, I was kind before. I used to like doing charity, but then I encountered something. Ji Huangjin said, then I changed. Kindness will not change. Ji Huangjin nodded and agreed with Su Yun's words. Yes, kindness will not change, but kindness can be overdrawn. Su Yun was stunned. This was indeed something that Su Yun did not expect. In today's society, there were too many people who overdrew social credit by hunting kindness. My kindness was completely overdrawn because of one thing. Ji Huangjin said, I don't know if you have heard of that matter. A little girl was suffering from leukemia. The girl's father used a Weibo public account to broadcast the treatment live. Many people were moved and began to repost and collect donations. I was also a donor. Things quickly turned around. This matter could be an online marketing, and it was not that the father could not afford his daughter's medical expenses. Everything was just a pretense of charity. It was carefully planned. Su Yun was silent for a moment. The girl's illness was real. The love was not wasted. Of course, the sick girl did not do anything wrong. Ji Huangjin said, but I am disgusted with his father because I am also a father. I also have a daughter. I know very well what state I am in when my daughter is sick. Let alone this kind of serious illness, even if she is hospitalized with a fever and a cold, I will have a headache. I will not have the time to see how much the treatment costs. And this father actually remembered all the bits and pieces very clearly, and then spread it out to gain sympathy. Su Yun smiled and said, that's true. I'm afraid that no father in the world can be as rational as him when his children are seriously ill. A person who owns 3 houses, 2 cars, and a company in a city with high housing prices is using sympathy to win charity tips while using medical insurance to reimburse expenses. Haha. Ji Huangjin said, this father and the person behind him are very thorough in their considerations. Intentionally or unintentionally, they blurred a lot of concepts and cleverly avoided a lot of minefields in the law. They did it with ease, knowing when to advance and retreat. If a person could still have such a clear and rational mind when his children were seriously ill, then he must be a shrewd person. He must be better at making money than the fools who fell into his trap. He must be richer than the fools who fell into his trap. The charity law did not prohibit individuals from seeking help from crowdfunding in their circle of friends. Therefore, other than moral condemnation, it was not easy to regulate this kind of trick legally. They were smart enough to grasp this point and carry out this kind of activity. They were so smart, what could others do? At most, it would just be a scolding. No. This was not something as simple as scolding. This was not something as simple as causing a little social disdain. This kind of thing would seriously hunt for kindness and overdraft social credit. Because people were kind, they donated the money they had painstakingly saved in today's high housing prices, high consumption, and low wages life. However, such a warm plot of social love had a miraculous reversal. The father of the person who did this actually had a rich family, but he sold his misery to gain sympathy and cooperated with marketing. Sincerity and kindness had once again encountered a trap. Behind this seemingly simple profit-seeking scheme, what was overdrawing was the credibility of the entire society. In the internet environment where the boundaries of communication were being eliminated day by day, kindness was too easy to hunt. Everyone had heard a story called The Boy Who Cried Wolf when they were young. After the child deceived the villagers time and time again, the real wolf came, but no one believed him anymore. These people were undoubtedly the children who cried, The Boy Who Cried Wolf. They got the benefits they wanted, but when the real wolf came, what would they do when people no longer trusted them? What would they do when someone really needed help? Believing could be a trap. This kind of overdraft of social trust would cause the children who really needed help to lose their last chance to survive in doubt. Relying on people's kindness for profit was actually a kind of spiritual scam. It even had the color of moral kidnapping. This was even more abominable than those bastards who risked their lives to scam people on the streets. The internet constantly narrowed the distance between people. Information spread more and more widely and faster. Everyone's kindness also played an unprecedented role. Online donations must pursue more procedural justice because kindness should not be the target of marketing. This kind of hunting for kindness and overdraft social credit must be punished with capital punishment. Otherwise, these bastards would use a short period of time to consume all the kindness in the future. No one would want their descendants to live in a society without kindness, right? Then they should severely punish these bastards who overdraft kindness. If Su Yun saw this bastard father who relied on his daughter's serious illness to earn money, he would definitely give him a hard slap. He also donated for this matter, but he would not feel bad about the donation. As long as the child could be rescued in time, Su Yun felt that everything was worth it. He was just disgusted by this person. He actually had the mind to earn money when his daughter was seriously ill. This had nothing to do with morality. To put it seriously, it was simply the corruption of human nature. Ji Huangjin used this matter as a cover to make Su Yun feel that it was not that he was not kind, but that his kindness had been completely overdrafted by these people with ulterior motives. So he believed that Su Yun would definitely change his view of him. In fact, everyone's kindness has been overdrafted. Su Yun said lightly, "I'm the same. More than once my kindness has been hunted by people with means. But if this kind of thing happens again, I will still choose to believe, even if I know that there is an 80% chance that I will be cheated." Ji Huangjin was stunned. "Why?" "Because I know that if it's true, my hesitation may be related to a matter of life and death." Su Yun said, "They won't be fooled by the previous bastard's cry of wolf, so they won't ignore the next person who cries wolf. After all, it's not the same person. What if the next person really encounters a wolf? Then you'll be easily cheated like this." Ji Huangjin said, "I don't care if I'm cheated or not. How much money can I get if I'm cheated?" Su Yun, "Then you're not disgusted by this kind of thing at all?" Ji Huangjin's eyes widened. He could not believe it. After all, for a smart person like Su Yun to do such a stupid thing would definitely be strange. "Of course I'm disgusted. I'm most disgusted by this kind of person. Su Yun, I won't change my way of doing things. I just hope that society can have some kind of restriction to control this kind of person. I want to give this person a serious punishment. Only in this way, no one will dare to overdraft social credit." Ji Huangjin gave a thumbs up and began to flatter. "Brilliant. It's really brilliant. CEO Su's idea is great. CEO Ji, it's hard to fake the poverty in the mountainous areas. If you want to help somewhere, you should go there and take a look." Su Yun glanced at Ji Huangjin. Sky Entertainment Group has a construction team from Project Hope. Every year they build schools in poor areas. If you don't trust others, you can donate money to me. I'll help you use it in the right place. Ji Huangjin was stunned. Su Yun suddenly laughed. "But I believe that CEO Ji's trust in me has been exhausted a long time ago, so you won't trust me either, right?" "Of course not. I definitely trust CEO Su. There's no doubt about that." Ji Huangjin said, "After all, you're Xiao Ye's friend. If I don't trust my friend's friend, then I won't be able to survive in this circle." Although Ji Huangjin said he trusted him, he did not mention the donation at all. He quickly changed the topic. "CEO Su, do you have any other hobbies other than golf?" Su Yun had a rough understanding of this person. He did not want to continue being friends with him. He simply pretended not to hear and swung his golf club. Chapter 3567. After Yi Fala arranged the room, he went to look for Su Yun. Su Yun didn't have any intention of chatting with Ji Huangjin, so he used the excuse of wanting to take a look at the environment and left. After the two of them left, Ji Huangjin sighed in disappointment. He had tried many times to exchange contact information with Su Yun, but every time, Su Yun would find an excuse to change the topic. It seemed that he did not intend to have any deep friendship with him. However, Ji Huangjin wouldn't give up on this. After all, there was still time. It would be lunchtime soon. There was still a long time in the afternoon and a long time in the evening. This was an opportunity for Ji Huangjin. He would persevere until the end. If Su Yun didn't want to exchange business cards with him until he left, then he would have to ask Yi Fala how he could get in touch with him. As for now, the time wasn't right. Ji Huangjin wasn't a person who relied on a woman's help. If he needed Yi Fala's help from the beginning, then he would lose too much face. Yi Fala could see that Su Yun didn't have much interest in Ji Huangjin, so he smiled and asked him, "What's wrong? Is that guy's skills too bad? Maybe I don't like to deal with businessmen who are too utilitarian." Su Yun shook his head. "This boss Ji is completely different from me. You should know this, right?" "Of course I know," Yi Fala said. "But he's the best cover for us to come here. So I can only wrong you." "I'm not wrong. What did you arrange?" "Thank you for your hard work," Su Yun said. Yi Fala immediately told Su Yun his arrangement. "I suspect that he used a fake identity to check in. Although I didn't see him, according to my understanding, he should be a fake name called Huang Renhua. He has been living here for a while, so I asked for a villa next to the holiday villa where Huang Renhua is staying." There were many luxurious villas in the Sun Island Resort. The smaller villas cost about 5,000 to 6,000 a day, while the bigger villas cost about 20,000. The luxurious villas cost more than 100,000 a day. Those who spent their own money could not afford to stay there. Tuo Tong lived in an ordinary villa that was slightly bigger. The vacation villa that Yi Fala booked next to it was priced at 29,800 yuan per day. However, Supervisor Liu helped Yi Fala apply for a 30% discount. In this way, Yi Fala only spent a little more than 20,000 yuan. This price was actually quite expensive for a day's stay. After all, there were only 4 bedrooms, a home bar, a film and television room, and a dining room. The living room wasn't particularly large. It was 8 meters long and 6 meters wide. It could only be considered an average living room. "Sorry for the expense." Su Yun smiled. "Since Tuatong is staying here for a long time, he will definitely go out for lunch. You can hire a private chef here. Let the chef come to the house to help." Yi Fala said, "If I were Tuatong, I think I would definitely do that." Su Yun was stunned. It was true. People who came here were rich and pursued enjoyment. Those who went to the high-end restaurants in the resort might not be poor, but they were definitely not super rich. For example, Ji Huangjin booked a star-rated chef who was good at Chinese and Japanese food. The service fee for a meal was a few thousand yuan. Ji Huangjin also planned to invite Su Yun to his place to taste the dishes made by the chef he liked. However, the situation wasn't optimistic now. He didn't ask for trouble. He didn't want to be rejected. Yi Fala's judgment was very accurate. She asked Supervisor Liu about the situation of the guests who stayed here and booked chefs. Of course, Yi Fala found an excuse to hear that the chefs were booked. After getting the confirmation, Yi Fala understood. Yi Fala was familiar with some of the chefs. She had also ordered this service. This suspicious Huang Renhua called a Western chef. Yi Fala knew this chef. Then, she also made a service request to let the chef cook for her. She also said that the time didn't matter. It wouldn't be too late to let the chef cook after the previous one. The chef was naturally willing to accept this situation. When Su Yun and Yi Fala stayed in the villa, they had been guarding by the window. Sure enough, before lunch, the chef that Yi Fala also knew appeared at the door of Huang Renhua's villa. After pressing the doorbell, the door opened not long after. After the chef left, he busied himself for about 40 minutes before he came back to serve Su Yun and Yi Fala. Yi Fala went forward to open the door. After the chef saw her, he was quite happy. "So it's President Yi. Thank you for understanding us. I'm really sorry for making you wait. What do you want to eat? I'll start cooking now." You're too polite. Sit down. Actually, I didn't ask you to cook today. Yi Fala pointed at the sofa. Do you want to drink something? You don't need me to cook? Then President Yi, you asked me to come here today because… Is there anything else I can do for you? The chef said carefully. Yi Fala said, I just want to ask. The person you served before, did he often ask you to cook for him? The chef nodded. Yes, he has asked me to serve him many times. That Mr. Huang seems to like the American dishes that I cook. American dishes? Su Yun was stunned. There are dishes in the United States? To be exact, it's American cuisine. He's very used to American cuisine. The chef smiled. Just now, I made steak for him. He always eats medium well. People in the United States like this. He asks you to cook every day. The service fee is enough to eat a lot of steak. Su Yun really didn't expect Tuo Tong to be such a rich person. Of course, he doesn't just eat the same, the chef said. He wanted to say that his service wasn't that simple. It wasn't just cooking steak that could earn him so much service fee. I'm just talking about American cuisine. Customers like this. Whether it's British steak, French fries, Mexican chicken rolls, or even German hamburgers, it's these things that make up American cuisine. Americans are really not particular about their food. Yi Fala smiled. In the United States, you definitely can't eat steamed lamb, steamed bear's paw, steamed deer tail, roasted duck, roasted chicken, roasted goose, roasted pig, roasted duck, soy sauce chicken, preserved meat, songhua tripe. Su Yun also couldn't help but laugh. The chef nodded. Yes, people in the United States like to eat fried steak, vinegar and pepper turkey, vegetable and fruit salad, all kinds of potato products, and things like sandwiches or toast. Then what can you do for us today? Su Yun asked. I can make anything you want to eat, the chef said confidently. The chef said confidently, beef steak with herbs, red wine steak, grape pudding, fried pork chops with cheese and ham, tuna sandwiches, anything is fine, as long as you name it. Oh, of course, I'm not an American chef. American cuisine doesn't need a chef. Anyone can make it. I'm a Western chef. I know much more than these. Su Yun said, you know Western cuisine. Pan-fried foie gras, spaghetti sauce, red braised beef, Yorkshire pudding, clam chowder, vanilla carp floss, buffalo spicy chicken wings, grilled asparagus with cheese, honey roasted chicken drumstick, dosha pancake, Cobb salad, Cornish pie. As long as you want to eat it, I can make it, the chef said proudly. These were all his assets. He had to show off. You know so much, but he must eat American cuisine? Yi Fala frowned. The chef nodded. Yes, maybe American cuisine is simpler and more convenient. He also likes to eat it. Also, he seems to be very busy with work. Even when I'm preparing lunch for him, he will sit in front of the computer and do things. Occasionally, when I'm preparing dinner for him, he will light a cigar, smoke a few puffs, and stand in the courtyard for a while. Yi Fala looked at Su Yun. This way, as long as Huang Ranhua walked out of the room in the afternoon, she would be able to confirm whether he was Tuo Tong or not. Although she didn't know Tuo Tong, Su Yun should know Tuo Tong, who was notorious in the world. Even if he didn't see him, he must have seen his picture. Su Yun knew what Yi Fala meant and nodded. What do you want to eat? The chef asked again. Yi Fala shook her head. I don't know what I want to eat. That's why I asked you to come. You can help us cook whatever you want. We can eat whatever we want. There were all kinds of food in the fridge in the villa. They were all clearly priced. Other than being a little expensive, there was nothing else. If they wanted ingredients that they didn't have, they just had to call the front desk. Someone would quickly send them over. Chapter 3568. Su Yun and Yi Fala didn't plan to leave the holiday villa after lunch. This made Ji Huangjin, who was at the door of the golf course's changing room, very anxious. Yi Fala told him that Su Yun came to play golf. Could it be that after playing for 2 hours in the morning, he didn't want to play anymore? This wasn't the behavior of a hobbyist. Ji Huangjin looked at his assistant and asked, "What kind of person do you think CEO Su is? Does he really like to play golf? Or is he just saying it casually? I don't dare to judge whether CEO Su likes it or not, but I'm sure he's definitely an expert." The assistant said, "CEO G, but I think, if golf was the only option here, CEO Su might like to play golf more. However, golf isn't the only option here. You want to talk about other options? That's even more boring." Ji Huangjin said, "Other than playing golf, is he going to play horsemanship?" But Yi Fala didn't say he liked to ride horses. Yes, he might have gone to the racecourse. How about this, you go to the racecourse and take a look. Maybe he's there. The assistant smiled slightly. CEO G, maybe there's a better choice than riding horses. Just say what you want to say. How many times have I said it? Don't beat around the bush. I can't stand people who beat around the bush. Ji Huangjin was a little impatient. When there are outsiders, you can go around in circles. Why are you going around in circles in front of me? The assistant quickly lowered his head and admitted his mistake. I'm sorry, CEO G. I just feel that it's inappropriate to say this directly. Inappropriate? Ji Huangjin suddenly laughed a few times. Ha 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 ha. Are you being inappropriate, or am I being inappropriate? Who's being inappropriate? I'm a layman. There's nothing to be elegant about. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't hold it in. CEO G, think about it. If you and CEO Yi and Yi Fala could be so close and come here for a vacation, would you choose to spend some time alone with CEO Yi in the holiday villa or come to the golf course to play with a friend you just met? The assistant said. Immediately after, the assistant was worried that Ji Huangjin was thinking too much and added, if this friend has direct value to him, he might need to consider it. If there's no direct value, then, I think. Do you still need to think? Who doesn't want to sleep with Yi Fala? Ji Huangjin said without any trace of politeness. His assistant had been with him for more than 10 years and was absolutely trustworthy. Therefore, Ji Huangjin always spoke without thinking in front of his assistant. The assistant laughed dryly. Since CEO G knows how to choose, then, do you think CEO Su will still be at the racecourse? Don't give me any rhetorical questions. Ji Huangjin glared. Of course not. If I have the chance to ride Yefra, let alone riding a horse, even if you give me the chance to ride a dragon, I wouldn't care. After saying that, Ji Huangjin touched his chin. This Yi Fala was definitely a super stunner in Ji Huangjin's eyes. No, it should be said that she wasn't only a super stunner in Ji Huangjin's eyes. In the entire Shenzhen, how many sanctimonious beasts like him didn't want to push Yi Fala onto the bed? When Ji Huangjin thought of pushing Yi Fala onto the bed and directly pouncing on her, his head suddenly sank. However, he was very clear. This was only something he could imagine. Ji Huangjin wasn't sure if there was anyone in Shenzhen who dared to touch Yi Fala, but there was one thing he was sure of. Even if there was someone who dared, it definitely wouldn't be him. He didn't think that his life was too long. CEO G, then are we still waiting? The assistant asked. Ji Huangjin fiercely glared at his assistant. Your brain works faster than mine. If you see this kind of thing in the future, remind me earlier. What are we waiting for? If it were me, I'd rather be squeezed dry than get out of bed easily. The assistant smiled and then left the golf course's changing room with Ji Huangjin. On the way, he met a few friends who invited him, but Ji Huangjin rejected them. He wasn't in the mood to play golf now. His mind was filled with Yi Fala and Su Yun's figures. After thinking too much, Ji Huangjin couldn't help but examine himself. Sigh, I'm old. He couldn't help but fantasize. If he and Su Yun were as young as he was, would he be able to create some sparks of passion with Yi Fala? Let's go. Since there's no one to ride, then let's go ride a horse. It's better than letting my imagination run wild. When Ji Huangjin returned to his holiday villa, he suddenly turned around and said. Naturally, the assistant immediately turned around. This afternoon was really long for Su Yun and Yi Fala. In the end, Su Yun didn't even remember the time. Only when Su Yun saw the chef appear at the door of the holiday villa opposite did he realize that it was already afternoon. About 5 minutes after the chef went in, a slightly stooped figure walked out. When Yi Fala saw this figure, her first reaction was disappointment. This was because she didn't think that Tuo Tong would be such a person. How could a person who couldn't even straighten his body hurt Bufifan? Is it him? There was some disappointment in Yi Fala's voice. Before she got an answer, she had already given up on her idea. She thought to herself that she had screwed up. It seemed that the entire afternoon had been wasted because of her presumptuous decision. Although there was still enough time, it shouldn't be wasted so casually. However, Su Yun's answer made Yi Fala instantly energized. Yes. Su Yun nodded. Although the Tuo Tong in front of him was different from the photo he saw a few years ago, Su Yun could still recognize him. He didn't expect this guy to have aged so quickly in these few years. Really? Yi Fala's eyes widened. She looked at the figure that had nothing to do with words of praise such as strong and agile. She asked again, Really? I won't be wrong. Su Yun smiled slightly. Don't worry. Yi Fala shook her head. This is Tuo Tong? He looks really ordinary. He's no different from the uncle next door. If you've dealt with him before, you might not think so. Su Yun, a few years ago, when I found out about this person, he was wanted all over the world. Because his virus almost completely paralyzed the entire European network, he became a street rat that everyone wanted to kill. Yi Fala was a little puzzled. Why did he do this? For money. Part of it is for money, but he wouldn't go so far for money. Su Yun said. Then why did he do it? Yi Fala said, Did the European Union offend him? He did something that made everyone's hair stand on end in one of the European Union member countries. Because of his psychopathic nature, he hurt a few children. His methods were extremely cruel. I won't say it, lest you feel sick, Su Yun. However, he was discovered, so the entire European Union started to put him on the wanted list. In order to enter the wanted file, delete the wanted file, and permanently destroy his photo, he did this. Yi Fala suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. This guy was a psychopath, and a crazy psychopath at that. Did he succeed? Yes. Su Yun nodded. He succeeded. Even the photos that were spread all over the world through the European Union's network were destroyed because of his destruction of the source resources. He has such great ability. Yi Fala exclaimed, If this guy puts his ability into serious matters, he's really a rare talent. Yes. Su Yun also sighed with emotion. It's a pity that he didn't put his talent into any serious matters at all. He only used his talent to do bad things, and every one of them was a heartless thing. Damn bastard, Yi Fala said. Su Yun nodded in agreement. He is indeed a damn bastard. In fact, he should have died long ago, but because of some special circumstances at that time, the country couldn't arrange for us to target him and carry out a surprise arrest. The countries he was hiding in were all countries that were more sensitive to our country. If we rashly took action to do this, it might cause some unnecessary trouble. Sometimes, although a straight foot is not afraid of a crooked shadow, we are still afraid that there will be despicable people playing tricks to frame us. Yi Fala nodded in understanding. He was very clear that there were indeed some countries in the world that had a lot of bad intentions. They wanted to use some of Hua Xia's weaknesses to denounce and suppress them. Chapter 3569. Only timid cowards would be afraid of the rise of others. Some countries in the world were that kind of coward. Every day, they worried that Hua Xia would rise. Every day, they were afraid that once the sleeping dragon woke up, it would unceremoniously eat the eagles and lions. Once the dragon was awakened, no one dared to imagine what the result would be. There was no country in the world that was not afraid of the dragon of the East. After all, someone on this continent had almost unified the whole world. Especially those countries that had been defeated and wanted to invade but did not succeed. They were even more afraid that the flames from the dragon's mouth would burn them to ashes. Although this sounded a bit shocking, it was really what many despicable cowards were afraid of. Therefore, the people from these countries especially liked to provoke Huaxia. They were nitpicking on Huaxia and couldn't wait for Huaxia to make a mistake. Then, they wouldn't let go and teach Huaxia a lesson. Not to mention those powerful countries far away, even the weak neighboring Korea would seize the disputes of fishermen fishing in Huaxia to attack Huaxia and verbally hurt Huaxia. Therefore, Su Yun and the others could not go to those countries to arrest Tuo Tong at that time. That was why Tuo Tong was free for so many years. In these years, Tuo Tong was not idle. He did a lot of things that gave the Western countries a headache. Perhaps it was because Tuo Tong knew that Huaxia was a place that was not easy to provoke, so he did not dare to come. That was why he delayed his appearance in Huaxia for so many years. If Su Yun guessed correctly, Tuo Tong wanted to cause trouble in Huaxia this time. In addition to receiving a commission from a servant, another idea was to find excitement in Huaxia. Invincibility would make people feel lonely. Tuo Tong was really lonely. The kind of loneliness that could only be felt when one reached the peak of a certain field. If a person was too lonely, he would want to find excitement. Tuo Tong came to Huaxia. Obviously, he was looking for excitement. Tuo Tong walked to the courtyard of the holiday villa he was staying in. He held a small leather box in his hand and slowly sat down on the lounge chair in the courtyard. He opened the leather box and took out a cigar. He took out a lighter and slowly lit it up. After taking a deep puff, he let himself wander in the smoke. Tuo Tong felt that this feeling was great. He liked this feeling, especially when his whole body was filled with disgust. It was as if he was riding the clouds. For Tuo Tong, his favorite country in the world was Huaxia. However, he knew that Huaxia was the place where he could not be messed around. So, he had never had the chance to come to Huaxia. This time he made a great decision. Tuo Tong smoked his cigar slowly. He didn't return to the villa until the chef had finished cooking and called him in for dinner. Since Su Yun and Yi Fala had confirmed Tuo Tong's identity, they decided to wait for the sun to set before making their move. They didn't want to disturb the other influential people here. Rich people had a lot of things to do. Who knew if there would be someone who liked to meddle in other people's business? However, what made Su Yun and Yi Fala speechless was that just as they were about to take action, a familiar figure appeared outside Tuo Tong's door. Ji Huangjin. Yi Fala was stunned. Why would this guy come here at this time? Did something happen between them? Or rather, Tuo Tong's employer who came to Huaxia to cause trouble was Ji Huangjin. Thinking of this, Yi Fala's face turned ugly. If this guy's employer was really Ji Huangjin, then she would let Ji Huangjin have a taste of trouble together with him. However, this was only a guess. Yi Fala did not dare to say for sure. Su Yun did not dare to say for sure either. Ji Huangjin knocked on Tuo Tong's door. Tuo Tong quickly appeared at the door. "Mr. Huang, let's go to the cigar bar and have a seat." Ji Huangjin smiled and said, "I'm very interested in the suggestions you gave me regarding the internet." "I'm sorry, President Ji. I'm not feeling well today." Tuo Tong rejected Ji Huangjin's invitation. Ji Huangjin smiled and said, "Padrone 1926 Series 80-year celebration." When Tuo Tong heard this, his eyes suddenly lit up. "I'll treat you," Ji Huangjin said indifferently. He knew what kind of things to use to attract people. This was where Ji Huangjin's wisdom lay. For cigar lovers, they definitely understood that cigars were not a cheap hobby. Cigars often represented money and power. However, not all cigars were the same. Although the average price of handmade cigars was very high, some people were already prepared to pay for these luxurious handmade cigars. For experienced cigar lovers, they were like the sun and the moon. Tuo Tong was a cigar lover, a man who loved cigars very much. The Padrone 1926 Series 80-year celebration that Ji Huangjin mentioned was a non-Cuban cigar that was second only to the French Return 45. This should be the best cigar made in the non-Cuban cigar world, whether it was in taste, structure, or balance. When Tuo Tong showed hesitation, Ji Huangjin added, radiant. Tuo Tong was stunned for a moment, as if he did not understand Ji Huangjin's meaning. Ji Huangjin continued, it's the Juliet-size cigar that Che Guevara liked. It's a big cigar that has the same imposing figure as Che Guevara. Thick, deep, rich, and delicate. When it burns, it can even have the static beauty of a sculpture. Tuo Tong's eyes lit up even more. He knew what Ji Huangjin was talking about. It was said that this cigar was made in memory of Che Guevara. This cigar, known as the Radiant cigar, had a strong flavor, purifying the tobacco leaves of the tobacco, and a deep cellar aroma that was consistent throughout made the rebels and revolutionaries in the world of cigar lovers follow it closely. Okay. Tuo Tong agreed. Ji Huangjin smiled slightly. In fact, he still had a lot of preparations. If Radiant was not enough to attract him, he could still take out Luix. This was because Luix was the best cigar that could be bought with money this year by the cigar manufacturer. Ji Huangjin could not afford to buy cigars that could not be bought with money, but as long as it was a cigar that could be bought with money, he could take it out. Since Tuo Tong agreed to his invitation today, then this Luix cigar could be used tomorrow. Thinking of this, Ji Huangjin could not help but wonder if Chairman Su also liked cigars. If Chairman Su liked cigars, not to mention Luix, even if it was His Majesty Gurkha's collection, he would be willing to take it out. One must know that the mixed cigar was made with Louis XIII brandy. Only 2,000 cigars could be produced every year. That silky and velvety feeling with a hint of chocolate. 18 years of tobacco was undoubtedly the best cigar in the world. That was the Rolls-Royce of cigars. Ji Huangjin himself was not willing to smoke it. If it was given to Huang Renhua, Ji Huangjin felt that it would be a waste. But if it was given to Su Yun, then it would not be a waste. After Tuo Tong agreed to Ji Huangjin's invitation, the two went to the cigar bar under the guidance of Ji Huangjin's assistant. The only place Tuo Tong would go was the cigar bar. This was the only place he was interested in. People who did not use cigars would never know the attraction of cigar bars to a veteran cigar user like Tuo Tong. Hearing that the two went to the cigar bar, Yi Farah helplessly shrugged his shoulders. It seems that you should go and see if there is any secret between these two guys. Su Yun nodded. Then I can only go and see. How can there be no cigars in the cigar bar? Wait a moment, I will call Chang to send it to me. Yi Farah said. Let him buy one, Su Yun said. Buy one casually? If you buy one casually, then you don't need to go to the cigar bar to smoke. Since you want to go to the cigar bar to smoke, if you don't have a good one, then go to the cigar bar and choose a handmade cigar. Yi Farah said, we must bring a decent one. Coincidentally, I have one in my office. I will ask Chang to go and get it for us. Su Yun shrugged his shoulders. Well, I will have to trouble Chang. Chapter 3570. It took Chang more than half an hour to deliver the cigars. Since it was Yefala's request, it was naturally not an ordinary cigar. Su Yun could tell that the cigar box was worth a lot just by looking at it. It was an exquisite small box with 3 sticks. The patterns and carvings on it were full of aristocracy. Gurkha Black Dragon Cigar. Yefala said, of course, this is definitely not an ordinary Gurkha cigar. It's definitely enough for you. Su Yun smiled slightly. I didn't know that Gurkhas produced cigars. I only knew that they were mercenaries. The Gurkha mercenaries are said to be very awesome. Chang said with some reverence. I heard them say that they are the fiercest and most valiant mercenaries in the world. Su Yun nodded. There was no doubt about the fierceness of the Gurkha mercenaries. This tribe that lived in the mountain country and was world famous for their bravery and ruthlessness was indeed not simple. Because they were a mountain tribe, the Gurkhas had to walk on bumpy mountain roads since childhood and had trained a pair of iron feet and a good body. Although the Gurkhas were not tall, their physique was very strong and they were able to endure hardships. That was why they had the reputation of being brave and good at fighting. The Gurkha mercenaries were tough, strong, and especially good at mountain warfare and close combat. Since England ruled the South Asian subcontinent, the Gurkhas began to serve the English army in large numbers and began to serve as mercenaries. When England invaded, the Gurkhas made the English army suffer a lot. After that war, the treaty signed by England specifically stated that England had the privilege of recruiting Gurkha mercenaries here. Since then, the Gurkha mercenaries had been civilized in the world. The Gurkha mercenaries are one of the world's famous foreign mercenary corps. Su Yun said with a smile. The mysterious Gurkha mercenaries have always been known for their strict discipline and bravery in battle. They are also very loyal to their employers. It is said that they are very good at playing with knives. Chong looked envious. Su Yun nodded. That's right. The most dazzling weapon of the Lanka mercenaries is the famous Lanka scimitar. This kind of military knife is the national sword of their country, and also the symbol of honor of the Lanka mercenaries. Because of this, the Lanka mercenaries are known as the scimitar warriors. Su Yun had seen the Dhanurka scimitar before, and it looked terrifying at first glance. It was shaped like a dog's hind leg, so it was also called a dog's leg knife. The back of the Dhanurka scimitar was broad and thick, but the blade was unusually sharp and protruded forward. It was very suitable for slashing and chopping. It could cut off the hind leg of a large animal with a single slash. It was definitely a sharp weapon for hand-to-hand combat. During World War II, the Gurkhas used cold weapons on many occasions on the battlefields of North Africa and Asia, and the Japanese were terror-stricken. Su Yun had fought with the Lanka mercenaries before, so he knew the power of the scimitar. However, no matter how powerful they were, Su Yun did not take them seriously. Moreover, when the Lanka mercenaries saw soldiers from Huaxia, they would show some timidity that they did not have when facing soldiers from other countries. At first, Su Yun did not know the reason. However, later on, Su Yun heard Wan Guangxiao tell them a story about the border between Huaxia and India. India also liked to hire Lanka mercenaries. When there was a conflict, India sent the Gurkha mercenaries and the Sikh troops, who were best at hand-to-hand combat. These two troops were once boasted by the Western Army as being invincible in hand-to-hand combat. They were fierce and good at fighting, and their enemies trembled in fear at the sound of their names. However, the Chinese army cut off the road from the West Pass to Bandera, causing an Indian brigade to fall into an ambush. The Gurkha mercenaries and the Sikh troops, who were eager to escape, engaged in a fierce hand-to-hand combat with the Chinese army. The valiant and skilled Gurkha mercenaries were naturally the main force of the Indian army. But in the hand-to-hand combat, these valiant and skilled Gurkha mercenaries were easily slaughtered by the tri-edged bayonets of the Chinese soldiers and fled like rats. This was perhaps the trauma of the Gurkha mercenaries to this day. The Gurkha mercenaries are strong, but in front of our Huaxia soldiers, they always have to walk with their heads down. Su Yun smiled. If you want to know why, go and read the history books. I'm going to the cigar bar now, so I don't have time to tell you. After Su Yun went to the cigar bar, Chong also left. He was in a good mood because of Su Yun and went straight to Xinhua bookstore. He wanted to see if there were any history books that told this story. Yi Fala stayed in the holiday villa and poured herself a glass of champagne. She knew Su Yun well, and Su Yun would not like her to interfere in this matter. If Su Yun needed her help, he would definitely tell her. If he did not say what he needed her to do, she would be the best help to Su Yun by staying here. After all, it was impossible for Tuo Tong to hurt Su Yun. The only threat Tuo Tong posed now was whether this guy would hurt the people around him. This might be the only thing Yi Fala had to worry about. However, with Yi Fala's personality, she probably would not worry about those guys at all. Anyway, although they were all friends in this circle, there was probably not a single one of them who were sincere friends. At the very least, Yi Fala had never felt that anyone would treat her sincerely as a friend. When she fell to the lowest point of her life, none of these friends appeared. At that time, the only one who was willing to help her was Su Yun. Therefore, Yi Fala would not treat anyone in this circle as a friend. Su Yun came to the cigar bar. There were already many cigar customers who had started drinking and chatting. For such a high-end place, this kind of place that served high-end people would never lack popularity. Soon, Su Yun saw Tuo Tong and Ji Huang Huang chatting on a sofa. Of course, even if Su Yun saw them, he would pretend not to see them. He walked in the opposite direction of the two, but he would use his own way to attract Ji Huang Huang's attention. Many cigar novices would usually pretend to be familiar with it. As soon as they sat down, they would directly order the cocktail and cigar that they had thought of beforehand, thinking that this would make them look more experienced. But in fact, the names of cigars and cocktails that they saw in magazines might not necessarily be suitable for everyone. Cocktails could only be paired with very light cigars, and wine and cigars together would make the tongue unusually dry. Drinking beer and smoking cigars already looked strange, and the smell of beer would make cigar smokers very uncomfortable. Cigars with a clear taste seemed to be able to go well with rum, but there was no wine like whiskey that was a match made in heaven for cigars. True cigar smokers who were both rich and classy would often bring their own cigars and come to the cigar bar to open a bottle of whiskey that matched the cigar in their hand, instead of ordering a cocktail and smoking a cigar to show off. Su Yun snapped his fingers, and the waiter immediately came over. "Give me a bottle of Macallan Resplendent," Su Yun said casually. The waiter immediately nodded. Su Yun's order had indeed attracted Ji Huangjin's attention. Rich people would like to order famous and classy drinks like the Royal Salute, which cost about 20,000 yuan. However, if they didn't have any business and wanted to drink alone, most of them would probably choose the Zuni Zuni, which cost only a few thousand yuan. Su Yun ordered a bottle of Macallan Resplendent, which was one of the most expensive bottles in the Macallan 1824 Master Series. The market price for a bottle was equivalent to 2 bottles of Royal Salute 62. It would probably sell for around 50,000 yuan in a place like this. Ordering a bottle of Macallan Resplendent alone just to drink alone with a cigar in his hand could really be said to be quite extravagant. Ji Huangjin naturally noticed. Not only Ji Huangjin, but everyone in the cigar bar also noticed. After all, everyone wanted to see what kind of cigar was paired with a bottle of whiskey that cost tens of thousands of yuan. Ji Huangjin immediately became excited when he saw Su Yun. He directly stood up and even forgot about Huang Ranhua beside him. He strode towards Su Yun and said, "Director Su, you also like cigars? What a coincidence. We meet again." At this time, the wine was served. Ji Huangjin generously said, "This bottle of wine is on me." If Ji Huangjin was alone, he would definitely not drink such expensive wine. Money was not to be wasted. But in front of Su Yun, even if the wine was twice as expensive, he would definitely not blink and not care. Su Yun already knew that Ji Huangjin was this kind of person. That was why he dared to order such an expensive bottle of wine without any hesitation. Since someone was paying the bill, why not take advantage of it? Ji Huangjin would definitely be willing to pay the bill anyway. Director Ji is too polite. Su Yun finished speaking and took out a rare limited edition Black Dragon cigar and slowly lit it. Ji Huangjin was stunned when he saw the cigar. Looking at Su Yun's cigar and smelling it, even his Luik cigar was nothing in Su Yun's eyes. Chapter 3571. Ji Huangjin didn't dare to rashly estimate how much this cigar was worth, but he was certain that this cigar might be the kind that couldn't be bought with money on the market. Indeed, the Black Dragon cigar that Su Yun smoked wasn't something that could be casually bought from handmade cigar shops on the market. Although Su Yun wasn't an experienced cigar user, the smoke that he slowly exhaled still gave him a good feeling. Although Ji Huangjin treated him to such an expensive drink, Su Yun didn't even think of asking for one when he placed the cigar box on the table. Instead, he continued to taste the cigar in his hand. In fact, the cigar he smoked was also very good. It cost a few thousand or even tens of thousands for one. "Do you want to give it a try?" Su Yun casually said. Ji Huangjin really wanted to smoke Su Yun's best quality cigar, but Su Yun's polite words seemed to be a bit too polite. He seemed to be just casually saying it and didn't really mean to give him one to try. No need. I'm used to the smell." Ji Huangjin smiled and shook the cigar in his hand. Su Yun didn't say anything. It was better if he didn't use it. He couldn't bear to smoke it even if he wanted to. Drinking a single malt premium whiskey and smoking a cigar every few seconds, letting the smoke surround him. It was so comfortable. Every time this happened, Su Yun would think of his first time smoking a cigar. At that time, he didn't understand and thought that this thing was the same as cigarettes. He almost choked to death when he inhaled it. The nicotine content of cigars was much higher than cigarettes. If it went into the lungs, it was no different from seeking death. Perhaps some people would say that cigars had a lot of nicotine, but why would they say that it was less harmful than cigarettes? That was because cigars didn't go into the lungs, so the danger was much lower. Oh, right. If President Su doesn't mind, I'll introduce a friend to you? Ji Huangjin suddenly thought of Huang Renhua. After all, he was the one who invited him. If he left him aside, it didn't seem too appropriate. Su Yun nodded, indicating that he didn't mind having another friend to drink with. Anyway, this wine was paid for by Ji Huangjin. Ji Huangjin hurriedly got up happily to invite Huang Renhua. He also asked the waiter to send over a whiskey glass. Tuo Tong didn't refuse Ji Huangjin's invitation. Because Su Yun and Tuo Tong didn't have any direct contact, Tuo Tong certainly wouldn't suspect that Su Yun came here to deal with him. After the two met, they even shook hands under Ji Huangjin's. When Tortun saw that Su Yun was smoking a limited edition Gurkha Black Dragon cigar, he was instantly shocked. He had smoked this cigar 3 years ago. Because this handmade cigar was only produced around 1,000 cigars per year, the price was quite high. For rich people like them, price was not a problem at all. Even if it was tens of thousands of yuan, it was still worth it. For them, the problem, the supply. Because it was a limited edition, this product was very difficult to get. It was difficult to buy. Tuo Tong spent a lot of effort to buy a single box last time, but Su Yun actually put 3 boxes in front of him. It was said that these 3 boxes were the most difficult to buy. This top-grade cigar was made with tobacco leaves as the raw material and was purely handmade. Different types of tobacco, different combinations, and different production methods. Because there were so many variables, it was impossible to predict the taste of a cigar. It was these subtle differences that experts loved. The beauty of cigars was this difference. Every day, the mood was different, and the friends were different. The same cigar would feel different. This limited edition cigar in 3 boxes was said to give people 3 different feelings. So it was naturally rare. After Tuo Tong saw the cigar on the table, he had the urge to throw away the one in his hand. It was a pity that Su Yun didn't invite him at all. He didn't try to ask him to try one. Tuo Tong could only endure it. He couldn't ask for it shamelessly, right? After all, this wasn't a cheap thing that cost a few hundred yuan. It was difficult to buy it with tens of thousands of yuan. President Su, Mr. Huang, is a top cigar user. He is very accomplished in the study of cigars. Ji Huang could see Tuo Tong's desire for the Black Dragon cigar in front of him, so he tried to lead the conversation to cigars. In fact, cigar smokers knew that cigars were like tires. They needed a spare tire. If you were smoking and the person next to you asked you for one, but you didn't have any extra, it seemed a bit awkward. Of course, it wasn't necessary to prepare a Davidoff Royal Solomon limited edition cigar, but cigar smokers had to be prepared. After all, cigar smokers were people with status. The highest level of sharing was silence. As a cultured man, you shouldn't ask others to give you a cigar. If you want to share your cigar with others, you just need to open the cigar box and let the other person choose. Su Yun obviously didn't want to show that he was recuperating, because it wasn't worth it. President Ji, you flatter me. I am a person who likes peace and quiet, and cigars can bring a special feeling to peace and quiet. Tuo Tong said. Su Yun didn't want to talk about cigars with them. I don't think Mr. Huang is Chinese. My mother is from the United States. Tuo Tong said lightly. I also grew up there. No wonder. Su Yun smiled. If that's the case, your Chinese is quite good. Thank you. After Tuo Tong said that, his eyes fell on the cigar again. He hoped that Su Yun would push the cigar box in front of him. If that was the case, he wouldn't be hypocritical. Su Yun was too lazy to guess Tuo Tong's thoughts. Since he was so interested in the cigar, it might be the best bait to lure him into the room. All the more he couldn't waste it now. Mr. Huang, what business are you doing in Huaxia? Su Yun continued to change the topic. Tuo Tong shook his head. I'm just here to pay respects to my ancestors and live in Huaxia for a few days to experience the culture of Huaxia. I'm not here for any business. Mr. Huang is in the internet business in the United States. Ji Huang Jin interjected. High-tech. Su Yun smiled faintly. In this day and age, people still treated the internet as some kind of high-tech technology. Ji Huang Jin was indeed worthy of the title of nouveau riche. Perhaps it was because he was someone who got rich from coal mining that he would treat this as high-tech. Not really. Tuo Tong didn't want to talk about himself. After all, his identity was given to him casually. He was afraid that something would go wrong. What about President Su? What does President Su do? Boss Su, you're amazing. Ji Huang Jin interjected again, trying to find a sense of existence. Mr. Huang, let me tell you, I don't admire many people in my life, but President Su is definitely the one I admire the most. He's a movie tycoon, a big shot in the entertainment industry. Ji Huang Jin was really envious of Su Yun because he truly felt that the big shots in the entertainment industry had resources and power in their hands. They could do whatever they wanted and hide as much as they wanted. Just thinking about it made Ji Huang Jin unable to extricate himself from it. In Ji Huang Jin's eyes, this might be the ultimate career that any man in the world would yearn for. Tuo Tong nodded to show his admiration. Su Yun waved his hand indifferently. President Ji is exaggerating. There are so many people in Huaxia who are in the movie industry. I'm just lucky. President Su is modest, too modest. Ji Huang Jin's flattery didn't stop. I admire people like President Su. You're young and promising, but not arrogant at all. Compared to those young and frivolous guys, you're many times better. President Su, don't be modest. This is your personal charm. I also admire President Su. You're so powerful at such a young age. This can't be brought by luck. Tuo Tong smiled slightly. Su Yun took a puff of his cigar and said lightly, I didn't work for it. What's there to admire? If I worked for it, I'd admire myself too. Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm just a second-generation kid who enjoys the fruits of others' labor. There's nothing to be arrogant about. Ji Huang Jin laughed and said, How many of the second-generation heirs are as capable as Mr. Su? Occasionally, there are one or two who can make some achievements, but they are all supported by their father's strong support. Moreover, it is under the condition that all kinds of connections are unhindered. Chapter 3572. Su Yun shook his head and said, If you have resources but don't know how to use them, then your brain is flooded with water. I have always thought that people who use their elders' resources to the best of their ability are not wasteful. People who don't use effective resources may be too extravagant or too stupid. Indeed, you are right. Ji Huang nodded. If you have resources but don't know how to use them, then you are really not very smart. Su Yun smoked a cigar and looked at Ji Huang. President Ji, in fact, I know what you are thinking, but I have always only cooperated with people with strength. If you want us to cooperate, then show your strength. Ji Huang Jin had a look of sudden realization. I understand now. He. Su Yun smiled slightly. There were always rules in business. People would choose to cooperate with strong partners. This was the most basic principle. After all, business was like a battlefield. No one liked to bring a weak chicken to the battlefield. Ji Huang personally poured wine for Su Yun, and then poured about half a glass for himself. Ji Huang raised the glass with at least 2 ounces of whiskey. He felt that this was enough to show his sincerity. President Su, I toast you with this glass. I promise that as long as you cooperate with me, our cooperation will be very pleasant. I hope so. Su Yun raised his glass and took a sip. Ji Huang frowned and drank it in one gulp. Although he also knew that this was not the way to drink wine, sometimes he needed to show his sincerity if he wanted to express his respect. After all, Huaxia's wine culture was incomparable to any other country. It is my honor to meet President Su, Tuo Tong also said. The three people tasted the cigar and tasted the whiskey. Time passed very quickly. Su Yun saw that it was almost time, so he got up and said, I will go back first. You two have a good chat. Then let's go too. Ji Huang glanced at Tuo Tong. Let's go back together, he. Ji Huangjin wanted to see which room Su Yun was staying in. He planned to find a chef he was familiar with to give Su Yun and Yi Fala a romantic champagne breakfast to express his feelings. In fact, the famous champagne breakfast in the Sun Island Resort was a very ordinary English breakfast. It consisted of fried eggs, fried sausages, boiled beans, roasted tomatoes, toast, coffee, black tea, and champagne. Although it was very ordinary, it was a very famous breakfast here. This was the price he wanted. Ji Huangjin believed that as long as he had this intention, Su Yun would definitely be able to feel it. As long as Su Yun felt his intention, the cooperation in the future would definitely not be a problem. Let's go together then. Tuo Tun also agreed. He thought that since he would be staying here for many days, if he could build a good relationship with Su Yun, he would at least have the opportunity to taste his Black Dragon cigar. As a heavy cigar addict, Tuo Tun had almost no resistance to cigars. This was the same as Su Yun's expectation. Su Yun knew that these two guys would not miss the opportunity to go back with him. After returning to the vacation villa chosen by Yi Fala, Tuo Tun was surprised. We are neighbors. This is really quite a coincidence. Su Yun pretended to be surprised. Come to my room if you have time. Sure. Tuo Tun nodded. Ji Huang also said, that's right. I don't know if President Su has time tomorrow. I want to visit. Of course. Su Yun agreed verbally, but in his heart, I will not be here tomorrow. After Ji Huang got Su Yun's approval, he left with satisfaction. Tuo Tun also returned to his room. After Su Yun returned to his room, he explained the situation to Yi Fala. It was not difficult to take down Tuo Tun. He only needed to go to the door and light a cigar, and he could easily attract that guy over. Yi Fala smiled. It seems that the attraction of this cigar is still very big. How much is this cigar? Su Yun asked. Yi Fala thought for a while. About $4,000 to $5,000 per cigar. In fact, the price is not expensive. It is just that the production is too small, so it is difficult to buy. Naturally, it will be regarded as a treasure. The rarer something is, the more expensive it is. Some people who like this Black Dragon cigar would rather spend tens of thousands of $. This is not expensive? One cigar costs tens of thousands. Su Yun pouted. No wonder Tuo Tun's eyes almost never left this cigar. That means this guy likes cigars very much. Yi Fala said, after half an hour, you go to the door and be the bait to lure him over. We will directly tie him up. Su Yun nodded. However, it is too wasteful to light such an expensive cigar. If I knew earlier, I would have bought a cheaper one at the cigar bar. I don't feel bad at all if you take it away. Yi Fala said lightly, I will give it to you. I am not the kind of person who is obsessed with cigars. It is simply a waste to give this to me. Su Yun laughed. Half an hour later, when Su Yun sat in the courtyard of the holiday villa with a cigar in his hand, Tuo Tun opened his door and walked out. He greeted Su Yun coincidentally. Chairman Su, you are not asleep yet. Tuo Tun smiled. Mr. Huang. Su Yun stood up politely. Do you want to smoke together? Can I? Tuo Tong didn't intend to be polite. As he responded, he walked straight over. Thank you, President Su. You are welcome. We are all friends. Su Yun immediately greeted him with a smile and directly opened the door to invite Tuo Tun into his room. Tuo Tun looked at Su Yun with a smile. waiting for Su Yun to pass him a black dragon cigar. However, after Su Yun closed the door, his expression changed immediately. Tortun did not expect another person to be in the room. He was stunned when he saw Yi Fala. Su Yun blocked the door and said lightly, "Tortun, there are no outsiders now. Don't pretend to be an overseas Chinese." Tortun's expression changed instantly. Tortun, who was recognized, immediately realized that something was wrong. He turned his head and stared at Su Yun vigilantly. "Who are you?" "Who am I?" "Well, I really need to talk to you about this." Su Yun took a puff of the cigar and said calmly, "More than half a year ago, did you cause some trouble in the Tonga area? Do you still remember the kid you hurt?" Tortun's expression became more and more unpleasant. "Are you from the Hunter Academy?" "Of course not." Su Yun shook his head. "If I were from the Hunter Academy, would I play with you so politely? I would have sent a few people to pin you down." "Then who are you?" Tortun was confused. "I am that kid's godfather," Su Yun said. "If I make it clear, can you die more clearly?" Tortun glared. "You dare to do anything here?" "Of course not," Su Yun sneered. "But do you think you can still escape when you are already here?" "That will depend on whether you have the ability to stop me." Tortun was still confident in himself. Although the incident happened suddenly and he did not have any weapons on him, in his eyes, Su Yun was just a nobody. The confident Tortun did not take Su Yun seriously. Even if the #1 instructor of the Hunter Academy, Zhue Ming, was in front of him, Tortun would not panic. The confident Tortun attacked without hesitation. He wanted to catch Su Yun off guard, but Su Yun was already prepared. He dodged to the side and grabbed Tortun's hands. With a twist of the joints, Tortun screamed and knelt on one knee. Su Yun was too ruthless just now, and Tortun's strength was too strong, so both of Tortun's arms were almost broken. Before Tortun could digest the pain in his arms, he felt the sharp pain of being stabbed by a bayonet on his back. The force was so vicious that if Tortun's resistance was not strong enough, his lower body would have been paralyzed. This kick was from Yi Fala. The heel of her high heels directly hit Tuo Tong's waist. When Yi Fala thought that this guy had almost broken all the bones in Bufifen's body, her ruthlessness was born from her heart. Chapter 3573. Although Yi Fala had interfered, Su Yun didn't intend to give Tuotong any chance. He directly punched Tuotong's arms that were almost broken. This time, Tuotong's arms were completely crippled. It was very dangerous to hit the vital parts of the joints. Tuotong didn't expect the opponent to be so cruel. His arms were crippled as soon as he attacked. How could he continue playing? How many disgusting things have your hands done? You probably can't remember them yourself, right? Su Yun said, "Actually, when you created the corrosive worm virus a few years ago and damaged so many computers around the world, I should have settled the score with you. Unfortunately, due to special circumstances, it was delayed. I didn't expect you to come knocking on my door after so many years. Now, do you feel the thrill of coming to China to do bad things?" Tuotong endured the pain and wanted to stand up, but Yi Fala wasn't willing. When Tuotong's knees left the ground, Yi Fala's high heels directly hit Tuotong's leg socket. Tuotong knelt heavily on the ground again. "You don't have the right to stand and talk here." Yi Fala glared. Tuotong knew his current situation, so he had to lower his head. "Don't do anything first. We can discuss things properly. If you want money, give me a number. Believe me, I can definitely satisfy you." "I don't want money. I only want to ask you why you came to Huaxia to cause trouble this time." Su Yun. "I came to Huaxia to release an online shopping virus because your Huaxia's annual shopping festival is very crazy. Tuotong, it said that within an hour, the transaction volume can exceed 10 billion. What can your virus do in this hour?" Su Yun narrowed his eyes. Tuotong had nothing to hide. In this situation, not saying anything would only cause more serious harm. As long as my virus is released successfully, it definitely can't be detected and destroyed within an hour. and all the money generated within this hour will be transferred to my designated account. Su Yun sucked in a breath of cold air. You're really a grandson. You want to attack all the shopping netizens in Huaxia. Tortun said, now that I'm in your hands, as long as you let me go, I swear I will never release the virus. Is that okay? If I let you go, there's a 90% chance that you'll release the virus. If I don't let you go, you won't have any chance of releasing the virus, Su Yun said. What do you think I'll choose? Tuo Tong frowned. But you can't keep me here forever, right? Of course not. Su Yun shook his head. Someone will personally execute you. This is Huaxia. This is a lawful society. Tuo Tong suddenly raised his voice. Do you think you can escape the punishment of the law for doing such a thing in a society ruled by law? Do you think you're qualified to talk to me about the law? Su Yun said disdainfully, but don't worry, I will take you to the high seas to deal with it, so you don't have to worry about me. You can't take me out. There are surveillance cameras everywhere in the Sun Island Resort. I won't cooperate with you to get in the car. As long as I struggle, the people in the surveillance room will see it and someone will call the police. You better think carefully. Tortun said, don't think I didn't think before coming here. Su Yun gave him a thumbs up. I didn't expect you to be such a scheming B*TCH. So let's talk about other conditions. Conditions that don't harm us, you will definitely be interested. Tuo Tong made a final struggle. No need, I'll let the police take you out. That way, no one will call the police, right? Su Yun shrugged indifferently. You're unlucky today. You really met your match. Tuo Tong was confused. He didn't believe that the other party could communicate with the police. If it was someone else, it might be impossible, but Su Yun could. Su Yun directly called Qin Wan-er. Wan-er, are you busy? Su Yun smiled. Guess where I am? You're not in Shenzhen, right? Qin Wan-er had just finished a meeting and was preparing to drive home. Suddenly, she received a call from Su Yun. She was indeed a little excited. You guessed right. Su Yun said, I'm really in Shenzhen. Busy person, how do you have time to call me? Qin Wan-er's mood sounded very good. Why? Do you want to ask me out for supper? You're very lucky. I really have time today. Su Yun smiled. Of course, no problem. But before supper, I have something that I need you to help me solve. What's the matter? Qin Wan-er said, is there any trouble again? Now I have an international wanted criminal in my hands. He's in the Sun Island Resort. I want to take this guy out quietly, but I'm afraid that he will cause a commotion and disturb the people here. Then, it will cause chaos. Su Yun, after all, the people who live here are all powerful people. The security here will definitely not let me take him away. But you're a police officer. You can get a police car to help me take him out. Qin Wan-er understood Su Yun's meaning. Since it's an international wanted criminal, then I will immediately send someone. You don't need to send anyone. You can do it alone. You don't need to let others know. Su Yun, this is my special task. You can do me a favor. This person will not be tried here. Qin Wan-er wanted to ask why, but in the end, she held back. Okay, then wait for me. I'll be there in half an hour. After hanging up the phone, Su Yun smiled and shook the phone. He said to Tuo Tong, how about it? Now, what other tricks do you have? Take them all out. Impossible. How can the police listen to you? Tuo Tong was unwilling to believe this fact. But it was the truth. Half an hour later, Qin Wan-er drove the police car directly. The security of the Sun Island Resort was also very surprised, but the police had to cooperate. Qin Wan-er drove the car directly according to Su Yun's instructions. Su Yun and Yi followed directly through Tuo Tong in the car. Because it was a police matter, no one dared to intervene. After Su Yun explained the situation to Qin Wan-er, Qin Wan are also directly told the person in charge of the Sun Island Resort to directly seal the place where Tuotong lived and confiscate all his things. Tuotong was taken out smoothly without causing any disturbance. After Qin Wan took him out, Chong had already driven home to wait for them under Yi Fala's arrangement. Su Yun asked Qin Wan to directly send them home. Tuotong's hands were crippled. Just now in the car, this guy was dishonest and wanted to kick the door to escape. Su Yun also stepped on his ankle and broke it. Now, he was completely a cripple who couldn't move his limbs. Bu Fifan waited for so long at home, and finally, he didn't wait in vain. When he saw Tuotong being dragged back like a dead dog, the resentment in his heart was finally released. When Tuotong saw Bu Fifan, he knew that he was completely finished. "I have already arranged with my friend at the port. Leave the rest to me." Yi Fala said to Su Yun, "I will take Fifan to the international waters to deal with the rest of the matter. You accompany Wan to have a midnight snack. You haven't seen each other for a long time. You can handle the rest of the matter?" Su Yun was stunned. Bu Fifan said confidently, "Of course, we have an agreement. This guy will be left to me to deal with. You can't change your mind at this time, right?" "Of course not. What I promised you is yours." Su Yun smiled bitterly. "Okay, then I will leave the rest to you." "I won't go." Tuotong was already a cripple at this time. He couldn't attack. It was even impossible for him to escape, so Su Yun didn't have anything to worry about. It was so late and he still troubled Qin Wan to come out. If he didn't treat Qin Wan to a meal, he was afraid that this matter wouldn't be justified. So, Su Yun made the right choice to accompany Qin Wan to have a midnight snack. Chapter 3574. Yefala had already contacted his men to prepare a boat. Bu Fifan and the others immediately threw Tuotong into the boat and headed for the sea. Tuotong did not stop begging for mercy along the way. He kept apologizing to Bu Fifan and promised to give him all of his wealth in exchange for a chance to live. Seeing that they were getting closer and closer to the open sea, Tuotong became more and more unsure of what to do. Unfortunately, his conditions were not tempting to Bu Fifan at all. The only thing Bu Fifan wanted now was to save his life. If Hua Xiao's laws were not so strict, Bu Fifan would have killed this bastard on the spot. Now that they were going to the open sea, Bu Fifan was itching to do it. "Stop dreaming and don't waste your breath," Bu Fifan said coldly. Bu Fifan said coldly, "If you don't shut your mouth, I don't mind pulling out your tongue right now." When Yi Fala heard Bu Fifan's words, he immediately went to look for the ship's toolbox. He quickly handed a pair of pliers to Bu Fifan and said, "If you want to pull out his tongue, do it as soon as possible. Just hearing his voice makes me sick." Tuotong shut up and shook his head frantically. He did not want his tongue to be pulled out. Even if he was going to die, he wanted to die with a whole body, right? He could not be tortured into pieces. If that was the case, Tuotong would rather jump into the sea and drown himself. Unfortunately, they had already restrained his legs to prevent him from doing anything. "Let me tell you, no matter what you say, no one will come to save you today. The only thing you can do is to pray that I will give you a quick death." Bu Fifan said sternly. "You hurt crocodile, and you still want me to let you go? Is your brain full of shit?" Tuotong did not dare to refute Bu Fifan. "If you really have the guts, give me a quick death." "It's not up to you whether I have the guts or not." Bu Fifan spat. "I don't buy it. Do you want me to find something to seal his mouth?" Yefala asked. Bu Fifan frowned. "If you have superglue, just do it. He won't need it in the future anyway." "I won't talk any more. I swear I won't speak again." Tuotong said hurriedly. "As long as you don't torture him, he will do anything. He will definitely keep his mouth shut." Bu Fifan wanted to say something, but his phone suddenly rang. It was Zhue Ming who contacted him. Bu Fifan was stunned for a moment, but he still answered the call. His sixth sense told him that Zhue Ming must be looking for him because of Tuotong. "Have you solved the problem? Is Tuotong in your hands?" After Zhue Ming dialed the The first thing he asked was a direct question. Bu Fifan had no intention of hiding anything from Zhuai Ming. He nodded and said, "Instructor Zhuai Ming, Tuo Tong is in my hands now. I hope you can leave this matter to me. I hope you can understand why I didn't tell you when I came to Hua Xia. I know you're doing all this for your instructor." Zhuai Ming smiled. "I didn't expect you to solve the problem so quickly. The headmaster's prediction is quite accurate. Good boy, you're good. If the headmaster didn't call me, I wouldn't have known that you sneaked out." "The headmaster called you?" Bu Fifan was stunned. Zhuai Ming nodded. "The headmaster knew when you sneaked out, but he didn't contact me immediately. He was worried that it would affect your plan if he contacted me. It seems like the headmaster's decision was correct. Your plan is going smoothly." "I don't have a plan. It's all thanks to my master and godfather." Bu Fifan was stunned for a moment as he spoke. He suddenly realized why he could sneak out so smoothly. It must be because the headmaster knew that he would find reinforcements this time, so he let him out without hesitation. His plan to sneak out this time was exceptionally smooth. Thinking of this, Bu Fifan slapped his thigh. "No wonder. I was wondering. Do you really think Gong Wangfei is a drunkard?" Zhuai Ming smiled. "Remember, most of the time, what you see is only the surface. He's not just a drunkard. His heart is as clear as a mirror. In the entire Hunter Academy, Gong Wangfei is the person the headmaster trusts the most. If you manage to sneak away right under his nose, if that day really comes, you won't be able to stay in the Hunter Academy anymore." Bu Fifan finally realized what was going on. He never thought a drunkard would be that kind of person. "The headmaster knows everything?" Bu Fifan asked carefully. Zhuai Ming nodded. "If you think the headmaster doesn't know anything and can't guarantee your safety, do you think he would let you out?" Bu Fifan finally understood. No wonder Su Yun had said that before. "Where are you now?" "I'll go and find you now." Zhuai Ming said, "I didn't do anything to him. You're the one who took care of it. You can tell Crocodile about it when you get back, so he won't be so pissed off. Maybe his condition will improve because of this." Bu Fifan said, "I'm on a boat. Instructor Zhuai Ming, I'll come back after I deal with Tuo Tong in the open sea." "You're bringing him to the open sea?" Zhuai Ming was startled. "Not now. Don't be rash." Bu Fifan was startled. He asked in confusion, "Why not?" "It's not the right time yet," Zhuai Ming said. "We still need to interrogate Tuo Tong. It's not worth it if you kill him now." Bu Fifan did not think too much about it. "Then what do you want to ask him?" "I'll ask him now." "Now?" Zhuai Ming was a little surprised, but he knew very well that Bu Fifan wouldn't be able to get anything out of him in this situation. However, it wasn't the time to explain. "Okay, then ask him. Ask him who he's working with this time and who is trying to ruin the development of online shopping in China." Bu Fifan nodded. He hung up the phone and went straight to Tuo Tong. "Tell me, who asked you to do this?" Tuo Tong was startled. He lowered his head and ignored Bu Fifan. "Do you think I won't let you die a horrible death?" Bu Fifan was anxious when he saw Tuo Tong's attitude. He grabbed Tuo Tong's collar and said angrily. Tuo Tong looked at Bu Fifan. He suddenly lost his fear of death. "If I tell you what you want to know, I'll be worthless. But as long as I don't say anything, I'll still be valuable. You won't kill me, right?" Chapter 3575. Bu Fifan flew into a rage. This bastard was actually trying to play mind games with him. "Are you going to tell me or not?" Bu Fifan's eyes were blazing with anger. "I'm telling you, Tuo Tong, I don't have that much patience. I'll give you 10 seconds to consider. When I count to 10, I will let you know the consequences of forcing me. Go ahead and count. It doesn't matter if you count to 100. Tuo Tong was no longer afraid of the angry Bu Fifan. Ever since Bu Fifan picked up the phone, he knew that he wouldn't die. As long as he still had value, there was no reason for him to die. At this moment, the angrier Bu Fifan was, the more relieved Tuo Tong was. Bu Fifan's anger came from his own conflict. Bu Fifan wanted Tuo Tong to die, but he couldn't do anything to him because he wanted Tuo Tong's answer. Once Tuo Tong died, no one would know about this secret, and the mastermind behind it might still be at large. Therefore, after Tuo Tong heard the call from Zhue Ming, he was certain of his current identity and value. As long as he was still valuable, no one could do anything to him. It seems like you won't speak until you suffer a little? Bu Fifan did not intend to let Tuo Tong off so easily. He would definitely torture him. You better not touch me. If you dare to touch me, I promise that even if I die, I won't leak any information to you. Tuo Tong met Bu Fifan's gaze and said, If you don't believe me, you can take a gamble, but I promise you will regret it. What you want to know is very important. Very important. Bu Fifan clenched his fists and trembled all over. Since Zhue Ming had called, he must have received orders from the principal. Bu Fifan had no choice but to obey the principal's orders. Furthermore, they did need to know what was going on behind the scenes. Is it your turn to threaten us now? Yefela unceremoniously slapped Tuo Tong's face. Let me tell you, I don't care who you're working with, and I'm not interested in knowing. If you speak with this attitude again, I'll still pull out your tongue. Tuo Tong's face was burning from Yefela's slap. This woman was clearly out of control. If I tell them everything now, I'll definitely die. Tuo Tong said, I'm sure I understand such a simple principle. Don't force me, it's meaningless. In order to survive, I won't say a single word. Bu Fifan clenched his fists and said through gritted teeth, Don't think that you can change the result just because you can live a little longer. I swear, you will die in my hands sooner or later. He. Is that so? Tuo Tong said, That's not necessarily true. At least I won't die in your hands now, which proves that I still have a chance to live. Bu Fifan glared at Tuo Tong coldly. He had no choice but to give up and say to Yefela, Mother Yi, let's go back. Are we going back just like that? Yefela was stunned for a moment. Actually, even if we don't know, what can we do? We can use other methods to investigate. Let's go back. Bu Fifan shook his head. Although he was impulsive, the principal must have his reasons for asking Zhue Ming to contact him. In any case, Bu Fifan would deal with this guy sooner or later, so he wasn't in a hurry. All right. Yefela nodded. If Bu Fifan had made his decision, she had no reason not to support him. Bu Fifan called Zhue Ming back and told him where they were going to land. Zhue Ming said that he would go and wait for them immediately. Tuo Tong was completely relieved at this time. No matter what, his life was saved for the time being. And he was also very clear that as long as he didn't say anything about this matter, his life could still be saved for a while. Since Qin Wan came to work in Shenzhen, she had been very busy. For someone like Qin Wan who was serious about her work, this job would never allow her to be idle. Su Yun felt that she was much more mature than before. She was much more mature in all aspects. Qin Wan was no longer the impulsive girl she used to be. When was the last time we met? Qin Wan sighed. Su Yun shook his head. They had too many things to do. It was indeed difficult to remember these trivial things in life. It's been a long time. Are you very busy with work now? Yes. Qin Wan shook her head helplessly and joked, A lot of times I think about why I chose this job. This industry is really not suitable for women. Su Yun nodded in agreement. This industry was really not suitable for women. It's not too late to change your career. The door of Sky Entertainment Group is always open for you. As long as you want, you can choose any position you want. Don't tease me. Qin Wan smiled. The business of Sky Entertainment Group is not something I can do. Now it's just a little thing every day, and it's already hard for me to deal with. Sister Frost must be regretting joining Sky Entertainment with you now, right? Maybe. Su-yun knew that Chin Wan-er was joking. I can't help it. Who asked me to be so unreliable? When I think about it, I feel like I owe her. You do owe Sister Frost a lot. Make it up to her in the future. Chin Wan-er said, if I were you, I would feel very sorry. Yes. Su-yun said helplessly. At this time, the waiter brought the spicy crab they ordered and interrupted them. What would you like to drink? Su-yun was about to ask Chin Wan-er if she wanted to drink some wine, but Chin Wan-er said, freshly squeezed orange juice. After Chin Wan-er said that, she saw Su-yun's questioning look. In fact, at this time, in this place, with this kind of food, it was quite suitable to drink a little bit of wine. Even beer was more suitable than juice. I haven't drunk in a long time. Chin Wan-er smiled and explained, I need to keep a clear head at all times. Even if we sit here now, I can't guarantee that I won't suddenly get a call and leave in half an hour. Su-yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You are not an ordinary police officer now. You don't want to do everything by yourself, do you? Of course, I won't do everything by myself. I don't have that much time to do everything. Chin Wan-er smiled. But there are some things that I have to put more effort into. If I don't put more effort into it, the people below me will have less motivation. Su-yun gave Chin Wan-er a piece of spicy crab and smiled. Try it and see if it's to your taste. It's quite delicious. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.